So, after 2 weeks, doesn't seem like the Vikings are in that bad of a position after all. But what do you? Let's go ahead and discuss right after we go ahead and we do.
I know you're scared. Yeah, I do too. If I were you, I know you're scared. I do too. If I were you, you better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. 'Cause all the girls you better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game.
Well. So, the Bears are who we thought they were.
Yep. Detroit also.
Detroit ended up being Detroit.
Yep. Detroit, like I said before, Detroit will do Detroit things.
And maybe Love is not the savior everybody thinks he is.
No. What's up, Skull for Life? You know what?
What up? Welcome to the chat, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. Davey, appreciate you. Gary, as usual. Sodak, Too Evil, as always. So, who do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about the Lions? Do you want to talk about the Packers, the Bears, or the Vikings? I say we say the Vikings for last. We're position that we're in. I say we talk about the team that we all thought. I don't know why some media members picked them to win the division, but I think that all Vikings fans, Lions fans, and Packers fans thought this team would be the worst team in the division. So far, for 2 weeks of the season, they are proven to be the worst team.
You're talking about the Bears?
Talking about the Bears and their quarterback.
Yeah, they Ryan Poles, he blew up that team. He's building it the way he wants to, but he's going to seriously have to look at another quarterback.
Yeah, I mean that pick six that he threw on that screen pass. That was just I mean I know we run tight end screens, but at least we don't do that.
Well, and ours aren't that disastrous. I mean,
right. Those orange uniforms are awful. They need to get rid of those. Their defense is not good.
No, they are, and they've got a head coach. Eberflus. I don't even know where the guy came from. I don't know anything about him. I mean, we were hard on the Vikings. The Bears are much worse. They are.
Yeah,
they're much worse. And it starts at the quarterback. They're gonna have to get a quarterback. Once again, another Ohio State quarterback did not make it in the NFL.
Well, Stroud looked good today, but that's because he's a rookie. They don't have film on him yet.
But he also played the Colts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I am so glad that there were so many Viking fans. Oh, we got to draft. We got to go get Fields. We got to go get. I mean, so glad that the Vikings did not go get Fields.
Yeah.
Because until Ohio State quarterback proves, it's like you said, the best one they've ever had was a good quarterback, but he was much better at gambling than he was at being a starter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for those that don't know who that was Art Schlichter.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm sure Davey changed that.
Yeah, Davey, you're right. The Bears all the way.
Yeah, Bobby Douglas.
Even before Bobby Douglas, they had a quarterback named Rudy Bukic that was not very good either.
People think the Minnesota's quarterback situation history has been bad. When you have a quarterback from the late 40s as the Bears, still being your best quarterback in the history of your franchise, Sid Luckman, he was a good one. But when a quarterback from the 40s, before my pops was even born, my pops is 75.
Right.
That is pretty sad. I mean, you have those once in a lifetime years of Grossman and McMahon getting into the Super Bowl, but McMahon was more of the defense. And Grossman
McMahon in '85 missed a lot of time with injuries, so they had Steve Fuller to back him up. But that was, I mean, and in that era, you had to run the ball, and you still had Walter Payton.
Yeah,
you still had Walter Payton and that defense. That's how you won. That's how the Bears won that championship. Walter Payton and that defense. That defense, probably the last one I saw that was that good was maybe the 2000 Ravens. I haven't seen any defense since then that was even
here's the
near
thing.
that.
If the Dolphins didn't crap the bed in that AFC Championship game, they would have beaten the Bears.
They would have beat the Bears. Yeah.
So
they would have beat the Bears.
Yeah.
Well, and also New England got past the Raiders. They should never have got past the Raiders. Yeah. Never.
The Dolphins were the best team in the league that year.
Yeah. Yep.
But so the Bears, I think the Bears are going to be battling with unfortunately the Cardinals who
the Cardinals blew one today to Daniel Jones. Yeah. I sat up here and I'm watching this come. I'm like, all of a sudden they put up 31 points. I'm like, and they make Daniel Jones look like the Daniel Jones that we made look like in the playoffs. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, Davey, Sammy Ball played for the Washington.
Ball was a Redskin.
Yeah.
He played with the Redskins.
Yeah. Went to Texas Christian University.
Yep, TCU.
He still has most of their passing records as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't that something? These guys played in the 1930s.
Yeah.
And the records still stand.
Although Sammy Ball did have the worst loss in championship history in the NFL. They lost 73-0 to the Bears.
That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
Luckily, there was no TV back then, so not too many people got to see it.
Thank God.
But Zoe, if you want to come on in, I saw you in the chat. You're more than welcome to. But I'm telling you, man, the Bears are who we thought they were. I don't know why these people. Adam Rank, I don't take seriously because he always picks the Bears to win. Mm-hmm. But there was legit, like I watched these betting shows, and there was legit people on there who said that the Bears are going to win the division.
I heard that too because the division is wide open. I mean, whatever the Vikings did last year, throw that out the window. And nationally, they see the Vikings as who they are.
Yeah,
they're not a 13-win team, but there's no team in this division who's probably a 10-win team. So every 9 and 8 will win the division.
Yeah,
that's how bad this division is. 8 and 9 could also win the division. Detroit's Detroit. I mean, they showed it today, and like what's happened with us, turnovers killed them today.
Yeah, and that's what, in my opinion, the Vikings are 0-2. But if all the 0-2 teams, they're offensively, they're the best 0-2 team.
Yeah.
They shot themselves in the foot with the 7 turnovers. If they have 2 less turnovers, they're 2-0. Is the way I look at it.
Well, I also think, and even on Thursday night, if JJ hangs onto that ball, we score. It's a different ball game.
Yeah.
The momentum changes.
They got to change. I don't understand. I know we're going to finish the Bears here pretty quick, but why is that? And it's always been that rule. And I don't understand why. Is if you fumble out of bounds, you get the ball where the ball goes out of bounds.
It's the touchback.
You fumble through the end zone, it's a touchback. So why can't they make a rule to where, okay, fine, you fumbled out of the back of the end zone, move the ball back to the 10?
I've never understood it because usually, it depends on who had last. Because usually with that, whoever had last possession of the ball,
yes, it
goes out of bounds. But this rule is older than us.
Yeah, I don't understand.
But I think what happened was you had, when you had the Raider play against the Chargers was
the Casper play.
The Casper play.
Yeah.
So that had a lot to do with it too. And they just weren't going to reward the offense for an error, which is basically what you're doing.
But it's like that rule is no longer needed.
Well, it wasn't. And here's the thing nowadays you've got players that are stretching the ball to the goal line. So that ball's a live ball. Yeah. So you fumble it and you probably have 2 or 3 players trying to get it in the end zone and they don't get it. And then it's a touchback for the defense.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, JT should have just hung onto the ball. He shouldn't have just stretched it out. Just hang onto the ball, line up and take your chance with the run.
Maybe he knows that we can't run a yard.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Especially with them big boys that the Eagles had.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's one of those rules that I have to look into it, but it's been that rule for years.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about the Bears. I think the Bears are probably going to be battling the Cardinals for the first pick in the draft. And
Hey,
I think the Texans are better than both of those teams.
Can I bring up a point here?
Sure.
Skull for Life says we need to get rid of that rule. It's terrible. I've seen that rule work more for the Vikings than against the Vikings. This is the first time in probably 20, 30 years it's worked against us. This rule usually worked for us. So I mean, you gotta take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I mean, the rule has helped Minnesota as well. It has hurt it.
Right.
I still think they need to get rid of it, even though it has benefited.
Right.
It's one of the few rules.
Mm-hmm.
But also another thing, just in general, I don't know if you were watching the Dallas game.
I watched a little bit of it. I had the red zone.
The roughing the passer calls that they had on Dak Prescott. And yet Kirk Cousins literally gets punched in the face, and they don't call anything. Dak Prescott barely gets hit, and they call it roughing. So I just want to. I understand the call roughing the passer. I understand that. I just want them to be more consistent.
You'll never get it, and it depends on who they're calling it on. And guess what? It's Dak Prescott. And who does Dak Prescott play for? The Dallas Cowboys. Who owns the Dallas Cowboys? Jerry Jones. Who's on the rules committee?
Yeah,
Jerry Jones.
And he's also the president of the competition committee, isn't he?
Yes. So guess what? Dak's going to get those calls. Yeah. And especially in his home stadium.
So, chat, what's your opinion on the Bears? Do you guys think they're the worst team? Do you think they're the worst team in the division? Do you think the worst team in the NFC? Do you think we should be worried about them? Do you think you have no worries about them? Even that week, was it week 4 game in Chicago? Week 5 game in Chicago?
That week, what is it? We go week 4?
Well, they play the Chargers next, and then I think they play
Then they go to Carolina.
Then they play the Chiefs, then they play the Bears.
They play Chiefs, and they play the Bears. That Bears game, that's a pretty even game. But I'm going to give the edge to the Vikings. And the Bears suffered some injuries in the secondary today too.
Yeah.
So the Bears also can't run the ball. They can't run the ball, and they can't pass block either. So it's Chicago right now they're a dumpster fire. Let's be honest.
Worst team in the NFL. This is an awesome comment by Too Evil.
Oh God. Oh man.
Dumpster fire.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Bears. I think the Bears are right where they are. They're last place team. So I don't.
And the Bears, depending on how they go the rest of the year, they could be in the market for a new quarterback. I think they will be. We got a deep draft class next year. The Bears will probably be in that market.
Speaking of a team that needs a quarterback, the Jets. Zach Wilson is single-handedly going to destroy that team.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to bench. They need to get rid of the MILF Hunter and look for a regular quarterback. And they built that team to fit around Aaron. Now Aaron's gone, but now they're saying that if they make the playoffs, he'll be back.
They're not going to make the playoffs with Wilson as their quarterback.
But
the division's too good. They're not going to beat Miami and Buffalo with Zach Wilson as their quarterback.
Right. Who's backing up Zach Wilson?
Oh, God. Probably the same guys last year, White.
Mike White.
Is he still there? I don't know. I'm not up on my Jets.
I haven't checked their roster. Once they got Aaron, I figured he'd be playing. And I knew Zach backed him up, but I don't know who's backing up Zach now.
Yeah. Let's see. For Skull for Life, I kind of disagree with you, but we'll go ahead and talk about the Packers next.
Love didn't look too bad. He didn't look great, but he didn't look too bad. But it was Atlanta. So,
yeah. And the first team he played was the Bears.
Yeah. So.
The
backup from Green Bay? Who was that? Tim Boyle? Is that his name?
He's not with the Packers again, is he?
Tim Boyle, I think, is with the Jets.
Tim Boyle. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
White's the backup in Miami. Okay. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, If you watch that Packers game, when they needed Jordan Love to actually do something, he looked worse than Cousins.
Yeah.
So
the pressure and Atlanta doesn't have that great of a. Atlanta's 2-0, but they don't have that great of a team. But Bijan Robinson's going to be a studded running back.
Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
And I saw a comment earlier in our group chat.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said Bijan Robinson's going to break Adrian Peterson's record against us when they play us. The rushing yards for a game. I don't know.
Christian, you know what though? We got to play Christian McCaffrey first, and if he stays healthy, he might do it. So,
yeah, CMC scares me.
Yeah, that 49er team scares me. Especially after the comments that KOC made last year when we had the joint practice with them. Shanahan remembers that. They all remember that.
Well, I mean, you tell the bully that they came and took your lunch money, you weren't happy about it. They're just gonna come back to you stronger.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But the Packers defense, everybody sits there and says every year, oh, the Packers defense is going to be a top 10 defense. Every year, the Packers defense is going to do this. Every year, the Packers defense is going to do that. You can still run up and down the field on them. Now, our issue is KOC is not going to do that. But you could run on this Packers defense, and the Falcons did it even without Bijan. Their backup running back had yards too.
The thing with KOC is he's got to, once he starts running the ball, if he has success, stick with it. He abandons it too quick. And you can definitely run on the Bears. You can run on the Packers.
Going back to Sarah, the top 10 in pass defense, because when people can run on them, it's like us Thursday night against the Eagles.
Yeah, they're a top 10
paper
defense.
They just stopped running. They just stopped passing it because they could run it.
Exactly. And O'Connell's got to stick with it. He's got to stick with the running game.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have teams that you can run on. I watched a little bit of the Chargers game today when they played Tennessee. They've got big receivers, big physical receivers. Other than that, there's nothing special about it. Eckler didn't play. Eckler didn't play. Kendricks didn't play. I'm sure Kendricks plays next week.
Motivated.
He's going to be motivated. Eckler will probably play too because he's in a contract year. So.
Real quick. Go into this comment real quick. I haven't had a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they were Viking fans or if they were Eagle fans, but if you are one of those people who said what Pete was said to Madison, and you are that type of person, I don't want you on any of my shows. I don't want you talking to me. Yeah, some of that stuff that was said to Madison and about Madison was just absolutely disgusting. Everybody makes mistakes. Football is not life and death, which may seem like it. There's more to life than football. We all love the Vikings. We all appreciate, but it's not life and death. And some of the stuff that was said about Madison was just awful. And I'm gonna leave it there before I say something that's gonna get me in trouble with YouTube.
I agree.
So
I agree. And they're not a football fan. They're just some idiot who's got a keyboard in front of them and they think they're, they can get away with something. No, you can't. You got outed anyway. So you're the idiot. So yeah, he is a pathetic loser.
Okay. I had to bring that up because I saw the comment for Sarah, so I had to bring that up. Okay. So are we afraid of the Packers?
No. We shouldn't be afraid of any of the teams in our division. We shouldn't be afraid of any team, period.
Right. Well, afraid by, do we think the Packers are better? Are we worried,
No, everybody, you know what? This division's even. And I'm throwing out that last year, 13-4 is a fraud. This team is probably the most even division in football. And like I said, 9-8 will win it. So we'll be beating up each other to see who wins the division. But none of the teams in the division scare me. And Detroit, no. I know everybody hyped Detroit like they're the team to beat. no, the only team that's going to beat Detroit, the team that will beat Detroit the worst is Detroit.
Yeah.
Because they are going to do things that's just going to screw them over. It's put it this way. A lot of us were down because Minnesota started 0-2 in a hole in the division. But after today, 0-2 in this division is not a bad thing because the rest of the division, let's be honest, sucks. It does.
Yeah. I know it's early in the season, so it's kind of hard, but
let me get this out. The one thing the Packers will probably be able to do best on the Vikings is run the ball. But every team will be able to run the ball unless changes are made.
Right.
And that's probably personnel-wise, maybe even scheme-wise, but we'll see. We know that the Vikings aren't the best at adjustments in game, before a game, or whatever. They're used to sticking with whatever game plan they had. But that's what it's going to take. What it's going to take is for KOC to outcoach many of his opponents.
I'm not confident in that.
And I'm not confident in that either.
Brian Flores on the defensive side, I am.
I got more confidence in Flores, but as far as KOC as a play caller, that worries me more than anything.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm not really afraid of the Packers. I got to see more. And another thing I brought up about Jordan Love is that it's only his second start. They don't have a film on him yet.
Exactly. Once you start getting film on a player, the tide turns. You know his tendencies, other things about him. They lost another lineman today too. Jenkins got hurt. And it sounds like it's a significant injury where he'll be out.
I heard it was his MCL.
Right.
Sprained MCL.
So he could be out a few games. Their top running back didn't play today. It was Dylan, but they still were. They still were able to get some runs against Atlanta, but they look normal. They look like a regular team against the Falcons, and they let Desmond Ridder kind of pick them apart in that secondary. This is Desmond Ridder we're talking about, not Steve Barkowski. This is Desmond Ridder. So
or Chris Chandelier
or Crystal Chandelier. God, how fragile was that guy? Him and Chris Miller both. Chris Miller was concussion prone. You know? But they let this, and they let them come back on him. Packers had a comfortable lead. They had a very comfortable lead, and the referees screwed the Falcons out of a touchdown in the back of the end zone. That was a touchdown.
Yeah. So the guy commentating on the game said, "Well, if his feet were facing the other way, that's a touchdown. But for some reason, when your feet are that way, no, your toes are in. You catch the ball, then your heels go down. It's a touchdown. Doesn't matter where you're at." And he was on a sideline catch. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to bring this up too. Remember the Vikings traded Vidarian Lowe to the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
He's starting tonight.
So I guess the Vikings don't have the worst offensive line.
He is starting tonight.
But with the injury to Udo, do the Vikings wish they had Lowe
now? Well, they got Lowe playing guard. The Patriots.
Yeah, but they probably could have moved Ezra to right tackle.
You know what though? It might be a little difficult to do now because he's played guard for so long. So you're going to.
What's with O'Neal? Why can't he play? If he had to play left tackle, why can't he? I know it's changing of the feet, changing the position, but
that's the most changing your stance. Your where you have to back up to the left instead of the right. It can throw you off.
But we ain't got to worry about it because
hopefully Darisaul's back. If he's not, Quisenberry is going to start.
Yeah. I had a little skip in my heart when I saw major Viking news: offensive tackle gone for the year, and they showed a picture of Darisaul. I'm like, and I clicked on it. Of course, it was Udo. I'm like, you MFer.
That's a good way to get Viking fans into a cardiac arrest. It really is. With everything that's going on.
Yeah. Oh.
With everything that's going on, the last thing you want to do is I've seen those. It's kind of clickbait. They'll put a top player there, but it's really talking about the third string guy that they decided to waive or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Darisaw will be back. It's still a lot of football left, as they say, but we can't afford to keep losing.
Yeah.
We just can't.
Going back to my Madison comment, you're right, Sarah.
Yeah, it's we're luckily in the NFC North, which it's a very bad division. Very bad.
All the Packer fans were chirping after week 1. So I don't know if they're chirping so much now.
Oh no, they went ghost right after the game.
Yeah,
they went ghost right after the game.
I mean, yeah, you did lose to the Falcons. You did lose to them in Atlanta. Weird things happen in Atlanta, but that drive, you still had time to go down, get a field goal.
They lost,
the game. And Jordan Love looked absolutely dreadful on that last drive.
They lost to Desmond Ridder.
Who from what I hear, because I have a friend of mine who lives in Atlanta,
mm-hmm.
the Vikings are not the Falcons are looking at quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah,
so
they are looking at quarterbacks.
So they're not even sold on Ridder.
They're not even sold on Ridder. I mean, it's like
it's just that Mariota was so bad last year, they had to play him.
Right. So I mean, in Green Bay was a better team, and they let this happen. That tells you more about the Packers as a whole. Did Jair Alexander play? I didn't hear his name at all today.
I saw him out on the field, but we all know that the Packers don't play man. We all know they play zone.
Right.
So all the chirping that Jair Alexander does about shutting down JJ, like if you watch the all 22 tape does not lie.
Yeah.
All 22 does not lie. He was not covering him one-on-one.
No, he wasn't.
No one covers JJ one-on-one. Not even Slay last year when he played the Eagles was covering him one-on-one.
I thought the Eagles were playing like a zone against him in that first game.
Yeah, they were playing a two-man, two-man zone, like two-man cover two. They're playing a two-man cover. They're playing man with the corners, but still running a cover two with safeties. So he was not. No one can cover JJ one-on-one.
No.
So
Green Bay doesn't worry me. Detroit doesn't worry me. Chicago definitely doesn't worry me.
Yeah, I think the only thing we have to worry about with Green Bay is them getting the bounces to go their way, because it seems like that's been happening in the last 30 years.
Bounces and referee calls, because that should have been a touchdown.
Yeah,
that they did not allow. So
and luckily the Falcons overcame it. Which the Vikings have not been able to do sometimes, but
and and that starts with the coach.
Yeah.
Starts with the coach.
So now let's switch to the team that is probably going to battle the Vikings for the division, and Drop Shot probably had the reason why the Lions are not going to win the division.
The Lions are the Lions. That's all I'm going to say. This is how many years have we heard this? The Lions have always been that team in the old NFC Central and the North that would challenge whoever is leading the division.
Yeah.
Every year. And the Lions just do Lion stuff that dooms them. Today it was the turnovers. I mean, they look like the Lions today. You can't buy into the hype when it comes to Detroit. You just can't.
And I think they gave up 2 sacks to a team that has hardly any pass rush at all.
Yeah.
The Seahawks do not have a pass rush.
Yeah, that's the only pass rush worse than Minnesota's, and that's Seattle.
I mean, they made Geno look like an all-star.
Well, and I got on Geno's case because he took that sack towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? You're a veteran quarterback. Throw the damn ball away. You were out of the pocket.
I thought he probably thought he could outrun Angeloni to the sideline.
Yep,
But
surprise, he got caught.
Angeloni had the angle on him, and he's
Yep.
faster than people think he is.
Yep.
Just because he's white don't mean he's slow.
Yeah. And Gino's older too, so he ain't gonna be as fast as he once was.
Yeah. I hate Seattle, but unfortunately, I think my wife is going because my wife's team's the Texans, so she's looking for a second team.
Mm-hmm.
She's she was born and raised in West Virginia, so she's a WV fan. So she loves Geno Smith. So I have a feeling that she's gonna be cheering for the Seahawks. But it could be worse. She could be a Packer fan. She could be a Cowgirl fan. But
Oh God, yeah. And now we'll probably hear from Cowboy fans now for the next.
Well, they haven't played anybody.
Yeah, but they're 2-0, so they'll be all over the national media.
And the Giants were outscored 60-0 before they finally scored a touchdown.
It took them 4 quarters. It took them like 7 quarters to wake up.
And it was against the worst team in the league,
Arizona.
Yeah, that had started out had some of the best, had some of the players hurt too. I mean, Joshua Dobbs is okay.
Yeah,
he's smarter than all of us.
I think Saquon Barkley may be out.
I hope not.
A long time.
He got me 30 points today in my fantasy.
I know he got me points in my fantasy league too. So
I hope he's not hurt because my backup running backs are Josh Jacobs, Cam Akers, and the guy from the Chiefs, Pacheco.
Oh, Pacheco.
Yeah.
He looked pretty good today.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked pretty good.
But yeah, so I'm not really worried. The Lions, I think the Vikings will sweep the Bears. I think their offense is. I don't think the Bears can keep up with the Vikings offense because even the Vikings, they scored 28 points against the Eagles defense, and the Eagles defense is supposed to be good.
Right.
I think week 1 was because they didn't play their starters in preseason. They were really rusty. Then I don't know if they split with Green Bay or if they split. Having the away game in Green Bay early helps.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because I don't think the Vikings have one cold weather game this year.
No, they end the season at home and in
which is weird because they are from a cold weather territory, but they don't want to play in cold weather.
Yeah, tell me about it. I think the coldest we got is we go to Cincinnati, which now looks winnable.
Oh, God.
Which now looks very winnable.
God, they look awful.
They're just staying.
It's the Bengals. I said I think it was in the same group chat. I said the Bengals did their one in every 15 to 20 year Super Bowl, and then they're going to go back to being the Bengals.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow looks like, he's having moments where he looks like David Klingler out there. I mean, he looks like he looks like he's hurt. He's playing like he's hurt, and it looks like that injury is whatever surgery he had is still bothering him. So, I mean, that Cincinnati game on the road looks very winnable now.
And I think I want to say that they split with the Lions, but with the Lions, you never know. Because the one year they were really bad, the one win they got in that 1-15 season was against Minnesota. And then the year they go to the playoffs, Minnesota sweeps them. But 9 times out of 10, Minnesota beats them. I think the Vikings are, 73-35-5 all time against the Lions.
Yeah.
The Lions are not very good against Minnesota at all.
No, they never have been.
The only team in the division that's good against Minnesota, unfortunately, is Green Bay. Minnesota pretty much has dominated every other team in the division except for Green Bay.
Well, and it goes by decades too. I mean, the 80s it was the Bears, in the 90s it was the Packers, 2000s it was the Packers.
I'm just talking overall overall since the Vikings have been in the league.
Yeah, Detroit's in our division, but they've always been an afterthought.
Yeah,
they've never been anybody that we've been. I mean, like the best games some of the players have had in Vikings history, their best game has been against the Lions. It doesn't matter who it is, their best game is usually against the Lions. I wouldn't be, and I'm going to be honest with you, if the Vikings play their A game, and that's what I mean, they got to play their A game, and that starts with coaching. They probably beat the Lions both times.
Yeah.
That means if they beat the Bears both times, which they probably will, you beat the Lions you sweep the Lions and you split with the Packers, you still look good. That wins the division right there. That wins the division. And when some of the games outside of the division that you should, you probably
Well,
do win the division.
like I said, the Minnesota is going to be Minnesota. They're going to lose a game they should have ever lost, week 1.
Yeah.
And like last year when they went into Buffalo and beat Buffalo, they're going to win a game they got no business winning. So that's going to happen. That's going to happen this year.
They have to win on Sunday. They have to win next.
Yeah,
Sunday.
they have to.
This is a must win.
Because the Chiefs, whatever issues the Chiefs had, it seems like they have those fixed.
Yeah, they put once you get Chris Jones and Kelsey back.
Yeah. So the Lions win, and they still only beat them by 1. So
Yeah.
And if if Tony Williamson doesn't come out of the effer or the universe and hop into Torrey's body, and Torrey makes those catches, they win that game as well too.
Yeah. Yeah, Kadarius, I think, actually caught a couple of passes today.
Yeah, well, he had to.
Yeah.
Just like KJ's got to catch some in the next game.
Exactly.
But he still got 14 points in fantasy, probably because of that touchdown. I don't know.
Who's that?
KJ.
Yeah.
He got me 14 points, even though he had all those drops, probably because of the touchdown.
That was because of touchdown. I actually had Addison in fantasy, so he got me. I forget how much he got me, but it helped big time. So it's like I said, the division is wide open. But
yeah, I'm
now,
not after today
mm-hmm.
with the way the Packers lost, and with the way the Lions turned into the Lions, and the Bears are who I thought they were. in the words of the great late Dennis Green.
Yep.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
Exactly. So now, guess who this falls on? KOC and the coaching staff. Did you have this team better prepared for games? And he's got to fix that offense. He's got to fix it. That's his pride and joy. That's his thing. He's got to. And Sarah, we need to play ball control more. We've got to play ball control to keep that young defense off the field. I mean, they're gassed by they were gassed by halftime Thursday.
It's kind of like my college team this weekend against Georgia. We were beating the brakes off of Georgia, and then Georgia's like, you know what? Let's just run, and then they ran.
Yeah,
and it was. Plus, I think my team got too full of themselves at halftime. But,
yeah, that does happen too,
especially in college.
I watched the Gophers played North Carolina, so I got to see May at quarterback.
He's pretty good. I didn't think he was as good as he was when he played South Carolina, but he made some plays in that game. But you know what, though? With how good May played against South Carolina, Spencer Rattler outplayed him.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler outplayed the Georgia quarterback Saturday as well.
Yep.
He just has no offensive line. It's the same situation Kirk's in.
Yep.
But at least Spencer Rattler can move around some.
Yeah. So, I mean, so now I'm paying attention to college quarterbacks because I know we're going to need a quarterback at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, Love is legit. He's in today's NFL, in today's football, he's going to be good because of the rules. The rules in football nowadays make the average quarterback look like an all-star, make him look like Johnny Unitas back in the day. Does he have and it was Atlanta today. He played Atlanta and he played the Bears. So I don't even know who the Packers play next week, but they play.
I'll check that. I think it's a good team though.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I think the Lions they've got the Falcons next week.
Or is it in Atlanta or is it in Detroit?
It's in Detroit.
Okay. Although that didn't matter today. Let's see who did the Packers play.
And we don't get Atlanta till like November.
By then, Ritter won't be what he is.
No.
Let's see.
And their backup in Atlanta is Taylor Heineke, I think.
Well, we'll find out. It looks like the Packers play the Saints.
At Lambeau.
At Lambeau.
That's going to be a good game. I don't think the Saints are that dominant of a team either, but they're better than.
I don't think they were as bad because Carr is better than Winston
Right.
and Dalton, so they're not going to be as bad. But they're still, as of so far, it looks like the. Unfortunately, unless Baker Mayfield screws it up, the Bucs are probably the best team in that division because their defense is so much better than everybody else's.
And that's if Baker screws it up, and that's a big if.
Yeah,
That's a big if with which Baker Mayfield you're going to get. So yeah, and we got the Chargers, the Bears. Oh God.
yeah, that's true too, Mateo. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are more athletic. I think I want to say O'Neal did play left tackle in college.
Yeah, he went from tight end to left tackle.
Right. He played left tackle at Pittsburgh. And I forget who we had at left tackle when he got here. It wasn't Khalil. Was it? No, it wasn't Khalil. I don't remember. But yeah. Yeah,
Matt Khalil was considered a small left tackle, but they did his. He's athletic. Well, he wasn't that athletic either. So
right. Well, and in that draft, the two top tackles were Matt Khalil and Riley Reif.
Yeah.
And Reif ended up a Viking. Matter of fact, I think Reif was playing left tackle when O'Neal got here. Reif was our left tackle.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was between those two. But yeah, your left tackles are usually more athletic.
Yeah, I don't know which I don't know what we were talking about when you made that comment, Skull. If you can remind me in the chat. And Riddler actually did play. He did play pretty good today.
He did play decent. He didn't turn the ball over, if he did at all. I think he did once, but he played in control. And plus, he's got a running game. He's got Robinson. A running game, contrary to what the NFL wants you to think and what coaches want you to think, makes a big difference. That's why you got to run the ball. You have to.
Well, look what the Chiefs did in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They started handing it to Pachenko.
Yep.
Yeah,
you got to run the ball. So it's imperative that KOC figure out a way to get this running game started.
Yep. We lost to two respectable defenses.
Defenses, yes. And two teams we could have beat them. Could have beat them. Tampa Bay was very beatable.
Yeah.
But Tampa Bay was very beatable, and so were the Eagles. The Eagles did not set the world on fire.
Yeah, I don't think, as of right now, unfortunately, I know Dallas hasn't played anybody, but they look like the best team in that division. I don't know if the Eagles. It's that maybe it's that whole Super Bowl loser thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles.
Well, here's a surprise. I mean, I think Washington is 2-0.
Yeah, they are.
They beat Denver. Yeah,
that defensive line, man. That God, those boys are nasty.
Chase Young is back. Chase Young is playing. And Eric Bieniemy's calling the offense, and it's starting to come around.
Yeah.
So,
and here's the thing about Eric Bieniemy. Why are players so soft today? That whole, he's too rough. He's too. I mean, come on.
That's what Kendrick said that about Zimmer, because Zimmer never said hi to him in the hallway or whatever. But it's just because a lot of these players are coddled. If they put it this way, many of these players, if they had even played like in high school back, and I'm dating how old we are, in our day, they'd have quit.
Oh yeah,
they would have quit.
The only thing my coach was good about was water breaks, because it was South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So water breaks we got after every session. We would go. They had the hose plugged into like a rack with a PVC pipe with holes drilled into it with the water shooting out. Yeah. So we would get water breaks. But other than that, like, are you hurt or are you injured?
Right.
Oh, okay. He's injured. Okay. Move the practice down 5 yards.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. Now they would stop the whole practice. They would bring the training team out, I know we're old school. I know we're at the get off my lawn moment right now, but
and the older I get, I'm the get off my lawn or I'm going to shoot you because I can legally carry.
Yeah.
I'm at that. It's almost at that age, but it's very true. And plus the rules, like I said before, you can't really play defense anymore. You're just you're a prop for the highlight reel to make it look like the offense is doing something.
I wouldn't even have picked him, Davey.
Why would you take Mariota in the first place? What were you thinking? Why would you take Mariota?
In Davey's defense, he was probably drinking when he made that pick.
Still, should have sobered up right away for that one. God.
Yeah, this goes back. I think this is the comment going back to where we were talking about JJ and Slay and Alexander. It is bracket coverage.
Bracket coverage.
The technical defense is a two-man cover two.
You know what it's called? It's called lazy coverage.
Yeah,
it's lazy coverage.
You play a man with the corners and you use your safeties as backup.
Yeah. You might as well just
what it is. Yeah,
it's called prevent because it prevents you from keeping a lead.
Yeah,
I didn't like to prevent defense back in the day. I hated it. But yeah, it's like you can't really play defense anymore. The days of dominating defenses are gone. Just those defenses that shut down offenses altogether, those are gone. It's just a new era. So
yeah, you're right, Gary. They did, but it was the Bears. So they've actually allowed 17 points the first 2 weeks of the season. I think that's the best score right now for scoring defenses.
Yeah, they average 17 points.
Yeah,
they've allowed 17.
Which, if you're a defense and you're an offense, if your defense is allowing only 17 points, you should be 2-0.
Yeah, and their head coach is a defensive guy.
Yeah, Todd Bowles. I love Todd Bowles.
Yes, he is a defensive guy. So they did it right. They built that defense. They built the
linebackers, David, and
it doesn't hurt. It didn't hurt having Tom Brady,
right?
But
that's why Brady went there. He saw the defense.
Yeah. But they built that defense. Arians built that defense. Anthony had Raheem Morris there, or Todd Bowles to call it. So, winning combo, So yeah, it's still a lot of football left. We still got 15 games. Exactly, Skull for life. The Lions will be the Lions till proven differently. Like I said, the Lions will do lion things that will screw their season. So, and now we're also, the starters now are getting their feet under them as far as playing wise, because nobody plays in preseason anymore.
So, well, the teams that do play in the preseason, actually, most of them, I think all but one won their first game.
Yeah.
And all the teams that did play their starters, I think all but one lost.
Yep. So now everybody's got their feet under them. So this is what I'm hoping. This is what I'm hoping with the Vikings. You've got your feet under you. You've got an extra day to put into practice and do the work. Go out there Sunday, get the win. If you don't get the win, your season's going to be a hell of a climb. That's all. It's going to be. And so next Sunday is must win. Bottom line.
Especially if they're playing another division. I think the division. It's hard to say must win with this division, but it almost feels like it's a must win.
I think for the Vikings, it's a must win just for morale.
True. Yeah.
Just for morale. I don't know how KOC can handle adversity, because he will have a lot of it if he loses his third game in a row.
So with the adversity thing, with the Colts game last year, would you consider that being adversity, being down that much and coming back, or was that just the Colts just took the?
Well, first of all, the Vikings put themselves in that position.
With the block field, with block font.
Well, no, they put themselves in that position. First of all, you're losing 33-0 at halftime to an interim coach and a team that's hanging it up for the year.
Yeah.
And you come out like that. I mean, that's on KOC. He ran whatever he did worked in the second half. But first of all, you never let your team get that far behind. Not to a 4-win team with an interim head coach.
A bad interim head coach too.
A bad interim head coach. And yeah, you came back and won it. Yippee, skippy, whatever.
Another false.
Yeah, but you should
fraudulent from last year.
Yeah, but you were completely dominated by a 4-win team with an interim head coach. That's all I'm going to say. For one half of football, if you are a good, consistent team, you never let that happen.
No,
never.
Go get him, Sarah. We'll support you. We got your back. And then, going back to this, the Jets, like I said, Zach Wilson is going to derail their season. They need to trade for a quarterback.
I don't know who's out there that they could get at such short notice. Maybe Taylor Heineke.
Somebody who wears number 8.
You know what? That ship has sailed. We're stuck with him.
Yeah, I know.
And he turned them down because they wouldn't give him guaranteed money. And he could not handle New York
media.
No, he couldn't handle New York media, and that would be a negative for the Jets to go to bring in Kirk Cousins, because right away the New York media would just bash him big time. They'd be hard on him. The Jets, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know.
Well, they're right now with how good. Yeah, another thing though, even though the score looked kind of bad, the Cowboys kind of pulled away in the fourth. But the momentum in that game shifted when Sauce Gardner dropped that pick 6.
Yeah. Also, Dalvin got stripped of the ball too, which
Dalvin Cook fumbled. No way.
And it was Micah Parsons. That man, oh my God, he's probably one of the most dominant players in defense today.
Where was he ranked in the top 100 players?
Micah? I don't remember. Somebody in the chat, if you remember where Micah Parsons was listed in the NFL's top 100,
he's got to be top.
He's got to be
top 5 player in the league.
Got to be
non-quarterback.
Well, Justin was number 2, right?
Justin was number 2. Patrick Mahomes was 3, and I think it was all quarterbacks. The rest of the top 5 was quarterbacks.
Who was number 1?
Mahomes.
Okay.
Which he should be. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the
league. He should be. I wouldn't be surprised if Micah was at least 4.
Well, he should. Well, for top. Well, he's probably him and Justin Jefferson are probably the best non-quarterback players in the league.
Yes. He's number 6.
He was number 6. Okay, I knew the top 5 other than Justin Jefferson was quarterbacks. So him being 6 makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. And that man. And I remember him coming out of college. There were some Viking fans who didn't want him. Oh, he played at Penn State. He did that.
He had history. But it wasn't. I don't think it was that bad. But yeah, he came out of Penn State, which is linebacker U, as he used to call it. And he gets to Dallas, and they've got a defense that fits him.
Yeah.
He can basically do whatever he wants. He's a linebacker, DN, inside rush, inside linebacker.
But isn't that the same thing with oh my gosh. Let me see. I can't think of his name right now. Let me see.
Yeah, it's Mateo. Chris Jones was ranked high. Yes, he was.
I can never think of his name. I gotta look at the list here. So isn't Parsons kind of the same situation? People are going to kill me for not remembering his name.
Our guy?
Yeah, our guy.
Daniil?
No. Wasn't that his issue?
You thinking Pace?
Yeah, wasn't that his issue with the whole? You don't know what position he plays and.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. He did have that. Mateo. Thanks, Mateo.
That was the one reason why I don't think he got drafted, because people weren't sure where to play him.
Ivan Pace?
Yeah.
I think Ivan Pace, I think it's more his size.
You think?
It
You think
could
it's
be.
that and you think it's that and didn't know where to play him?
I think you can look at him and tell the man he's a middle linebacker, just by the way by what he does. He's a middle linebacker. I think it had to do with his size. I think it had a lot to do with his size. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the biggest kid in the world.
No, but guy, he can hit.
He can hit. He can play.
Well, think about it though. Guys, stop. I'm trying to go away. Keep reading here. Do you think? But think about it though. Think about. Let's just. Oh my God, is Zoe in here? We're going to talk Viking history. Think of the Vikings' history of undrafted players becoming great. Started with Mick Tingelhoff.
Yes, Mick Tingelhoff.
You got Randall,
John Randall.
Thielen. I'm sure I'm missing a couple. But undrafted players who have become great for this pace going to fit that mode.
I think he will, but you got to give him time, and you got to give him consistent playing time. And if he doesn't get hurt, yeah, he'll be there. There's other free agents too. And then, honestly, with the Vikings and their history, most of their greatest players, a few we drafted, but a lot of them came from other teams.
Yeah, Moss is the exception.
Moss, Page, Eller, Yeary, Tarkington. We drafted Tarkington, but we got him back. We got him back in the trade.
Kramer,
Foreman, Sammy White.
Yeah.
Ahmad Rashad came from Seattle.
Right. Okay.
And recently.
Yeah, because think about Hutchinson wasn't that didn't come.
Chris Carter.
But yeah, Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep, Chris Carter.
Got him for $100.
Gary Zimmerman was in the USFL, but he was ours. But he went to the Hall of Fame as a Bronco.
Did we draft the inventor of the Nerf gun?
No, he's a free agent.
So Fred Cox was.
As a matter of fact, Fred Cox came in '62, and he had Mike Mercer was our kicker. Well, Van Brocklin cut Fred Cox and brought Fred Cox back in '63, and Cox was our kicker from '63 till '77. So, but yeah, he and get this, Fred Cox was I think Fred Cox was a running back in college at Pittsburgh, but he was a free agent. Yep, he was a free agent. Yeah. Joe Kapp was a free agent also.
That's true, Sarah.
Yeah, the Broncos, and I like the Broncos, but since Sean Payton is their coach, I can't stand them. If there's one person.
My cousin is a huge time Bronco fan. I mean, I roasted him today. He is such a Bronco fan. Get this. He legally changed his middle name to Elway.
Oh, God.
So his legal middle name is Elway.
Really?
That's how much of a Broncos fan he is. Yes.
Okay, that's cult. That's cult level status right there. I'm just gonna.
I love JJ. And naming my dog after him as far as that's going to go. So I know JJ. I know you got to go up. Give me 1 second, buddy. But yeah, and then he is being abused, but he has always been abused. Even the year they went to the Super Bowl, he was being abused.
Yeah, that offensive line is not very. It's not very good. It's not very good.
And then, love the enthusiasm, Mr. LaPointe.
You're right, Go for Cox never missed a game.
Yeah.
Never did. He never missed a game.
I think I'm looking at the later ones.
Okay.
You see from Mateo. I'm 48. They haven't mattered. They've only mattered 1 year in my lifetime. that was when they went to the NFC Championship game.
I'm 56, and they've never mattered. They've never mattered. They've always been they're in the division with the Vikings, later the Bears, and later the Packers. They never mattered.
Well, the Vikings have been their division opponents 61. Mm-hmm. I think the Lions have won the division 3 times, right? I think that's about right.
Since they won a division in 91, they won a division in 93, and 83.
Yes, 83 three times.
That's three
Yep.
times. I think
Since 61 when the Vikings have been.
by
I believe
time
so.
put it this way, by time I was 5 years old, the Vikings had won the division 3 straight years.
The Vikings have
straight
actually won
years.
more divisions than the Packers have since the Vikings have been a team.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
That goes back to the most successful team not to win a Super Bowl. I didn't say championship because they do have a championship. They just haven't won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And by the way, who has our damn championship trophy?
It's in a Hall of Fame, but it ain't the NFL Hall of Fame. It's in the Packer Hall of Fame. Yeah, it's been there since 1967 because the Packers were supposed to give it to the Colts in 68, and they never did. It was a traveling trophy that did not travel. It didn't travel out of Green Bay.
This little back and forth right here, Tuesdays, 5:30, starting 5:30, like vintage Vikings history. That's what stuff we're going to be talking about. So I am looking at the Lions division champion. We got this from Davey.
Yes, they have. They really have. They really have.
And then Sarah, we got a shout out for your sister. Everyone wants to know how your sister's doing. If you're still in here. And then, number 6.
That's true, Mateo. That's true. Very true.
Are you looking at the comment now?
Yeah.
Pace has already done more than Scene.
Oh God, yes. Yes. And Scene, I don't think Scene played Thursday night. I don't know. He may have played on special teams, but kickoffs. I mean, nobody returns kickoffs anymore. So.
Oh, is this what he's talking about with Micah?
Yes, I did hear about that. I did hear about that. Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah, Scene. I don't even know if Scene got on the. I know he got on the field, but when Metellus got hurt, Scene was not put out there. So I don't know that draft class of last year isn't looking too hot for Quezzy and KLC. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they his first year so far has been trash. I don't think anybody from that first year has played for him, right?
Ed Ingram.
Well, play is a relative term.
Just Ed Ingram's on the highlight reel, but it's not for anything positive.
Yeah, it's pretty sad that your first draft pick, your top 3 picks, 2 of them are non-existent. One's always injury prone, which he was in college. Of course, the Vikings don't have a good history with drafting Clemson players either.
Oh, Clemson players?
Yeah.
Oh, hell, who have we drafted from Clemson? I don't remember.
Well, Booth, let me talk the last couple of times. You got Javon Curse. You got Booth Jr. You got
and I think Javon Curse is starting in Dallas.
Yeah.
You know? So
what's that? The Mackenzie Alexander.
Oh, Mac Alexander, yeah. Yeah, he did a couple of stints with us because he left and then Zimmer re-signed him.
I think the best fight, the only player I can remember from Clemson that was halfway decent for Minnesota was Ed McDaniel, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, and he got hurt a couple of years, knees. But yeah, Eddie McDaniel was probably the best one. I forgot he went to Clemson. I forgot.
Cox never missed a game.
Yeah, everybody's ahead of Scene. Jay Ward can actually play. Jay Ward is a player. Yeah, the Bucks won the division in 99, I believe. Yeah, the Vikings were wild card. I think the Bucks won it in 99.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think when they split the divisions.
The division championships.
They might have won it in 01.
Okay. 3
for the Lions?
That's it.
Okay, 83, 91, and 93.
Put it this way, they're so bad that Wiki doesn't even have NFC North listed on here as division champions because they've never won one. So the Central was the last time they won the division, 83, 91, and 93.
Okay, Mateo, thanks. Yeah, Tampa Bay did win it in 2001. I think Tampa Bay went to the championship game that year. He lost to the Rams.
Okay. We all know how long the Lions have been a franchise.
1933.
The Vikings have more division champions than they have playoff appearances.
Oh, my God. And the Lions were a championship team in the 50s.
Yeah, they from, was it 52, 53, 54, 57. I don't think they won it every year, but those are the years they went to the years in the playoffs.
Those are years they won it.
Yeah, they only went to the playoffs once in the 70s. They went to the playoffs twice in the 80s. So the 90s was their best. The 90s was their best decade.
And that one playoff game in the 70s.
And they fired the coach.
Yep. And that one, they realigned the divisions in 2002.
Yeah.
They realigned them. That one playoff game that the Lions played in the 70s
should have beat Dallas.
Was 1970, and they lost 5-0.
Yeah, 1970 was the long time they made the playoffs in the 70s.
Yep.
Their last playoff game against Dallas, they should have won that game. They got hosed. But
yeah.
But besides that, yeah. So 1970. So since 1970, they got 2, 4, 6, 8. They got 10 playoff appearances since 1970, and they've only been to 18 total.
God, I think we had that within a decade.
Yeah.
My God.
So the Lions have never, since the 50s, the Lions have not been relevant.
No.
Even when they were the Staleys, they weren't good.
Mm-mm. They were the Portsmouth.
Spartans. That's right.
The
Spartans. The Staleys were the Bears. That's right.
Yeah, the Staleys were the Bears.
Yeah, but when they were Spartans, they weren't good.
Yep. So why break tradition? I mean, and they.
I think the media wants them to win. That's the only thing I can think of.
Everybody likes the Cinderella story.
Right. I mean, I don't dislike the Lions, but today, for the first time, I found myself cheering against them.
And here's a hard thing. And Pete Carroll's got history with the Vikings, but I don't like him.
No.
And I used to like Seattle, but to me, it's hard to look at him with them uniforms they got now. It's just, I don't like Pete Carroll, so I root against him.
It's the whole Southern Cal thing for me with Pete Carroll.
Yeah, and he dodged that bullet.
Yep, he got out just in time.
He got out just in time. But I mean, with the Lions, my God, I don't like Dan Campbell either. I think he's an idiot.
I think they're winning despite him.
I tell people this a lot. Keep your eyes open with what happens in Detroit. They've got the nucleus now for a pretty good team. If it falls apart with Campbell as a coach, they're going to Ann Arbor to talk to Jim Harbaugh. And they will probably hire Jim Harbaugh. Then you could start worrying about the Lions. That would be the most Viking thing to happen. It's like you had the guy right there in your offices, and he's gone.
I'll be back in 1 second.
Okay.
Put up another comment real quick. Right? I just got a little dog out real quick. Let me see. I disagree with this. I don't know. What do you think about this comment, Tony, real quick, while I let my dog out real quick?
Honestly, yes. Yes. First of all, Curse is a natural safety. He can also play that kind of a hybrid linebacker role. He's got the size. He fits that system. Bynum is technically a cornerback. We've got him playing safety, but he's a cornerback. I would have kept Curse, but once again, Curse was drafted by Zimmer, and Zimmer didn't use him properly. So we got what happened. But he would have been that role, like if he was a hybrid, and he would have fit perfectly in Florida's defense.
Yeah.
Skull for life? Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
Is spiteful. He is spiteful that way.
Yep, he will. He'll take that. He will take the gig. He will take it. Because he knows he can stick it to the Vikings twice a year.
like I said, you're connected. So do you know the reason why it didn't work with Harbaugh?
From what I was told, he was too much of a disciplinarian, and they had went through that with Zimmer, and they wanted to get away from that. They also, and here's another thing, that committee also was listening to right now players that aren't even on the team. Kendricks, Thielen, other guys that had a problem with how Zimmer was so hard edged. He was kind of hard. And he's old school. And the Vikings wanted to go, not the Vikings, I'm just going to put it out there. Mark Wilf and Andrew Miller wanted to go another direction. And he also wanted to blow up the team. He didn't want Kirk. He didn't want Kirk. So, but
he would have been stuck with Kirk for at least for a year.
No, he would have desperately tried to shop him last year. He wanted to blow up this team. He wanted to. That how competitive rebuild was something that Mark Wilf put out there. But yeah, he didn't want Kirk. He didn't want Kirk.
So, segue into I guess kind of a short pregame with the Chargers next week.
Right.
The Chargers are going to be desperate. I don't like their head coach. I think he's actually a better coach than their head coach.
Yeah, he'll probably be the first one fired, by the way.
I've said this before, actually, the Eagles game. At that time, I was picking the Vikings to beat the Chargers. But then I'm like, well, let me watch the Sunday's game, see what happens. I'm even more for sure now that the Vikings are going to beat the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers can stop the Vikings offense.
No.
It's going to be a shootout, but I think the Vikings will score more than the Chargers will.
Here's what the Vikings have to do. They have to. And they have to do it to help that young defense. Run the damn ball. I've said it over and over and over, and I'm going to keep saying it until they do it. Run the ball.
We have the running backs.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. What was the one thing we heard they signed Oliver for? He's
blocking.
The best run blocking. He's the best run blocking tight end in the NFL.
Yep.
So why'd you sign him? Because if you just wanted a pass catcher, you could just be using Muse and Hawkinson.
Yeah. By the way, do we still have Johnny Mund on our team?
Yes, he's a third tight end. He's active every week as a third tight end.
We still have him?
Yep. As opposed to over, maybe this is just my Gamecock blood talking.
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather have Nick Muse playing than Munt because at least Muse is a goal line threat. That's all he did at South Carolina was catch touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to get open in the end zone. You have to run special plays for Munt to get open. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Munt's a better run blocker at this age. He might, because he's been an NFL pro, so he has an NFL, workman, the strength and conditioning going on where Muse is only in his second year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but you had the tight ends. Hawkinson can block. He's not a bad blocker. So you have Hawkinson who can block. You have the best blocking tight end in the NFL according to all the experts. You have CJ Ham who can move as a fullback who can block. Why not? Why not just go in 12 personnel and just run? Or go in the old traditional I formation and run the ball. What everybody agrees, even Kirk haters agree. What is he the best at in the NFL?
Play action.
Play action. How do you set up play action?
Run the ball. It's not rocket science.
Look what the Lions did with Barry Sanders, and look what the Vikings did when they had Adrian Peterson. So he gets stopped. He gets stopped for a yard. He gets stopped for negative yards. Then he gets stopped for 3 yards. Okay. Next drive. He gets stopped for 2 yards. He gets stopped for 3 yards. Well, as the game goes on, those 2-yard gains become 5-yard gains, become 6-yard gains. Why? Because the defense is tired. As someone who played defensive tackle, and I think you did too, Tony, when you're the defensive tackle and it gets late in the fourth quarter, they've been running all day, you just want them to stop.
You're tired.
You just want them to, can you please throw the ball just once?
Yeah. Yeah, because you're the one they're beating up on. It's like
it's like being a nose tackle. You're getting doubled. You're getting tough. It's like just throw the ball once, please.
But Gil and Skull for Life, the offensive line is the problem. That's why I'm saying, and Gil, this is why I'm saying, if you want that offensive line to get some confidence, run the ball. If they start getting confidence if they start getting confidence running the ball, that's going to boost your offensive line, and they need it. Right now, they're just everybody's whipping boy. The offensive line needs that confidence. They need something. They need to prove to themselves, probably the coaching staff and everybody in the state of Minnesota, that they can run the ball. You know,
I'm not sure if the
Chargers like you said, Skull for life.
Either.
No, it's not. And like you said, Skull for life, that's just not KLC, which
exactly.
That's the biggest problem. But here's the thing, though, KLC, you're contradicting your signings. You're contradicting everything you said.
And that's my point.
Huh.
Yeah. First of all, I don't know if you mean St. Pete, Florida. I moved from Bradenton to San Antonio. We're probably moving back to Bradenton, just so you know. So shout out. But yeah, no, you're it's definitely not KOC.
Yeah.
He's a quarterback, and quarterbacks. But you would think with being a quarterback, he would know how important the run game is.
Okay, let's put the record for KLC. He wasn't a very good quarterback.
Well, he was at San Diego State, but you know,
at San Diego State, he wasn't a very good quarterback at the next level.
Well, you know, I mean,
and here's another.
Some people say it's because it's the whole backup the Brady thing, and the backup for Brady's aren't very good because they never get because Brady wanted the ball every time. But,
well, didn't one of Brady's backups get a contract out of it when Brady? Well,
the year he got hurt, Matt Castle, and they still went 11. They went 11-5, and then missed the playoffs.
Yeah. O'Connell was just your average. He just was. He just didn't have it.
Well, I know
as an NFL quarterback.
I'm just saying what some of the people would say about O'Connell. I don't think he was a good quarterback either.
And I'm going to be honest with you. Whoever said he might make it as a coach, I think that was Belichick. I think you got it wrong there.
That's my answer, Gil.
Oh, Gaskin?
Yeah.
He's on the roster, I guess.
I mean, he's on the roster, but I mean, a running back position, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to play running back.
No.
It's run left, run right. You don't put him in where you would struggle with the new playbook would be pass blocking. You just don't put him in on passing plays.
No, you put your more experience. If you got to have pass blocking, you put in
you put in Ham.
Put in Ham.
If you're not going to throw the running back, just throw in Ham to pass block. Yeah, there's no reason for a running back not to play, especially if because he was in a camp with the team, so he's in football shape. So there's no reason not to play a running back because that is one of the easiest positions to come in right away and play right away.
You have to run, and regardless of what the NFL wants to say with the rules and everything, you've got to run the ball.
That's about what. That's about
it. Yeah.
Who said Devin Poop? Was that you?
That was Zoe. That was Zoe. Yeah, that was Zoe.
Devin Poop.
Yeah. I don't know if that brother's going to play this year. He played Thursday. But I only seen him in like 3. Yeah, he played.
But you've seen that dead cap thing that's going around our chat.
Yeah, I saw it.
For someone who doesn't play, that's a huge dead cap money. Just so you know, the Vikings are going to have $53 million in cap space if they get rid of Danielle Hunter, Kirk Cousins, and Davenport.
That's the dead cap, right?
That's a dead cap. That's money they have to eat.
Yep.
There's no way of getting around it unless they re-sign Cousins, which unfortunately we may not want
that's a possibility. Folks.
We may not want that as Vikings fans unless he takes us to the Super Bowl, which so far doesn't look that way. But I think the Wilson. Sorry, I had Zach Wilson. We know my wife were talking about Zach Wilson, so Milf kind of slipped in my mind. But the Wilson, I think, unless we have a surefire, top five pick, I think they're going to re-sign Cousins because what's to go back to? They don't want to be bad.
Mm-hmm. And they need to be bad. They need to.
But Vikings history has proven that they will not be bad. Even think about this. Think about some of the crap teams that we have had, and yet what did the Vikings do? They're never 3-13, 3-13, and 4-10. They're always 3-13, 5-10, and then they go 8-8.
Yeah, they get back to average, but
Yeah, even with a crappy roster.
right. But back then we also had football people calling the shots.
Yeah.
We've got analytics nerds from the science club who play D&D in their spare time running this team.
Going back to that, we were watching something, I can't remember what it was. They showed the Dolphins head coach. My wife goes, "Who's that?" I go, That's the Vikings head coach."
Why is it
She's
every
like,
time?
"He's a head coach." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like,
Yeah.
"Looks like he should be playing Dungeons and Dragons somewhere."
And here's the thing, every time I see the Miami Dolphins head coach, I start singing the theme song, The Big Bang Theory. I'm like, he's a personified geek. He just is. And also, he only knows one side of the ball.
Skull, Viking skull. Yeah.
Hey, Gil, yeah, those vibes are real because guess what? Brad Childress got the gig because he called the play. He didn't call plays in Philly either. And he got here and called the offense. Yeah,
I'm just waiting for KLC to go, yeah.
Oh, God. Those had to be the worst pressures. Those were the worst press conferences in Viking history.
We're going to unleash our kick-ass offense this week. Just you wait.
Here's the thing.
Shut up. You take a public speaking class.
You went from like Mike Tice. I mean, we're playing a good football team. They've got good football players.
Yeah.
They've got good football. They're sound football. They're just an all-around good football. Their coaches are good. Okay, yeah, you're playing football, but does that mean what are you gonna do? And you go from that to Childress.
Yeah.
And it's just like those midweek press conferences are just like, oh, this is just unbearable to listen to.
I mean, everybody's like, oh, Mike Tice made a mistake by saying the Randy ratio. No, come on, man. Everybody knew there was a Randy ratio.
Everybody knew there was a Randy ratio.
He was the only thing we had.
Mike Tice made a mistake of actually taking the gig.
Yeah, that's true, too.
But he got the gig for being the spy. So that's
we talked about that earlier.
Yeah,
baby. Yeah, a lot of hype over nothing.
So who's going to be 0-3? Us or the Chargers? Sarah, I'm seriously thinking it's going to be the Chargers that go 0-3. I don't see the Vikings losing, but like I said before, it depends on KOC. The defense will be ready, especially with the extra Tony Tice, especially with the extra days.
Oh, man.
Thanks, goal. I owe you one. But it all depends on KOC. All depends on KOC. We can win this football game. It's going to be a good football game, but we just have to play sound football. How's that, Skull?
We got to throw.
Was that Tyson up for you?
We got to throw it to Randy.
Yeah, and we got to throw it to, and we have no Randy on the team. That's the whole thing. And he would say it too.
I love Justin Jefferson, but they don't have a verb named after you.
No.
So, I think Justin Jefferson, if he stays his whole career with Minnesota, will be the best receiver ever in Vikings history.
And that's a big gift for today's sports. Nobody stays with their team that they started with.
Yeah,
nobody in any sport. There's no more. They call it loyalty, but
no more Tony Gwynn's, no more Cal Ripken Jr.'s.
Hell, if put it this way, if Brady can leave the Patriots, anything can happen.
Yeah, no more Marinos, Elways. Hell, even Peyton Manning finished his career with a different team.
You know what? None of our guys, most of our Hall of Famers, did not stay with the Vikings. Ron Yeary went to the Rams in '82. Alan Page went to the Bears. Carl Eller went to the Seahawks.
Marshall left too.
Marshall stayed.
Marshall did say that's right.
Marshall was the only one. Marshall was the only one.
That's right. Carl Eller played for. Why would you play for the Bears, Carl?
Alan did because, we waived him, and he was mad at Bud. It was bad, but 3 people were there in Chicago that wanted him. One was Jim Finks, who drafted him. The other was Neil Armstrong, who coached him, and the other one was Buddy Ryan.
Buddy Ryan was there that early?
Yep. Buddy Ryan was with the Bears. Buddy Ryan was with the Vikings.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. When Neil Armstrong got the job in Chicago,
Not the astronaut people.
not the astronaut guy. When Neil Armstrong got when the Vikings defensive coordinator Neil Armstrong got the job in Chicago, he brought Buddy Ryan with him to be the DC.
So it's probably more of a Finks thing than probably anything else.
That was a Jim Finks thing. Oh,
Yeah.
Jim Finks had a bunch of ex-Vikings in Chicago. Not only Allen, but he had Ed Marinaro, he had John Gilliam, he had John Henry Ward, who he drafted. He had a bunch of guys that were former Vikings. Bob Grimm. He had Bob Grimm.
I'm not so sure, FGB. I think we just have to show signs of life of a running game. I don't necessarily think the Vikings need a full 100 yards rushing. I think they just need to show signs of life of a running game.
They don't need a full 100 yards, but they need to be productive on the ground and stick with it. That's the bottom line.
And we all know we could run it, Eric Kendricks.
Oh, God, yes.
We might have a little trouble throwing to him because he was good in pass coverage, but you could run at him all day long.
Yeah. We need a target. Yeah. I'd do with the Joe Cap.
Yeah.
I would do with the Joe Cap.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think both offenses are too good for the defenses that they're playing.
Oh, that's right. Goal for life. John Randall ended up with the Seahawks.
Yeah, John Randall finished his career in the Seahawks. So did Kevin Williams. Joey Browner finished.
Finished with Tampa Bay, but he got cut. He got cut midway through the season. Carl Lee finished with the Saints. Zimmerman finished with the Broncos.
He actually won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos.
Yep.
He won the first 2 Super Bowls.
Randall McDaniel finished with the Buccaneers. So did
horrible.
Jeff Christie. Yeah, Kendricks is injured. I don't know if he didn't play today. He might all of a sudden be healthy enough to play next Sunday, Sarah, because it's a homecoming for him. So,
let's see. Steve Jordan retired and came back. He did the whole Bud Grant thing.
Yeah, he came back. How's the O-line for the Chargers? They did not look
very good.
Great. They didn't look very good at all.
They had the same issue that we have. Their tackles are okay, but their interior is awful.
And Eckler didn't play today. Austin Eckler didn't play. So does he play next week? I don't know. I don't know about his injury concern. What I saw from the Chargers, they look like a very beatable team. Very beatable.
That goes back to their head coach. Chargers fans wanted him fired last year.
Yeah. Put it this way, folks in the chat. If you remember when we went to LA and played the Chargers then in LA, which was, I think, Zimmer's last year or maybe the year before, the last time we played the Chargers.
Yeah.
That team is no different than from that. This team now is no different than that team.
Only difference is the quarterback is a little bit better, but that's about it.
Yeah. He's not.
And he can actually get out of the way if there's a pressure, unlike the Statue Rivers, he can actually move out of the way.
Well, the lineman that could have a field day, and he's going to be playing hard, I think, for the rest of the year because he's trying to get paid. Danielle Hunter.
Yeah.
Danielle Hunter could have a 3-sack game. He really could. He could be disruptive. Herbert's a big kid, but he folds like a tent. He does. He's not the toughest. But like I said, his safety valve is Eckler. So if Eckler
did you see Skull for Light's comment?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. He went to the and Bob told me the story about that.
You and I have had some conversations about Bob.
Yeah. Bob told me the story about that. He and this goes back to what Eric Kendricks said last year about Zimmer not being friendly with the players. Bob Lurtzen had been on the team 5 years. Bud never talked to him.
Yeah.
The only time Bud Grant talked to Bob Lurtzema was on the phone to tell him he had been traded to Seattle. And here's a little thing with that too. Rashad, we had already made the trade for Rashad like the week before Bob was traded. It was the opening to the 76 season. Lurtzema was still on the team. We'd already sent draft choices, but opening day roster, Carl Eller was hurt. Carl Eller didn't play. We opened up against the Saints. Carl Eller was hurt. So benchwarmer Bob started for Carl Eller that game. And then later that week is when they traded Bob to Seattle. They didn't trade him the week before because they needed defensive line help because they knew Carl has surgery on his hand. They knew Carl wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
So they kept Lurtzman on the roster. Well, then the next week, I think it was Tuesday, Bob Lurtzman got traded. It was big news in the Twin Cities. It led off the newscast. It led off the newscast that benchwarmer Bob had been traded to Seattle.
May have been a bench warmer, but he was still an NFL player.
He was a starter with the Giants. He was a very good player. Matter of fact, he told me a Lions story. They played the Lions, and he was in, and Bill Munson was a quarterback for the Lions. And of course, we used to beat up on the Lion quarterbacks all the time. Well, one particular play, Bob Lurtzman got through and knocked him senseless. Munson looks up and he's like, Jesus Christ, Lurtzman's in the game. We must be losing already.
That story was hilarious when he told me that. That was
and they were losing. As a matter of fact, they were getting shut out. But yeah, I mean, no, Kevin's not in the Hall of Fame yet. He has been on the ballot though.
I think the fact that he never won a championship is
that's going to keep him. That's
for some reason that they think that's one of the most important things. Well, it's not a Hall of Fame is an individual award, not a team award. I just realize that.
And he was all pro for many years. He
Yeah.
was all pro for many years, so that could help. That'll help with the Hall of Fame voters, the current ones.
Yeah.
The one who will probably never get in while he's still with us, I hate to say it, is Jim Marshall. Why he's not there, I don't know.
Oh yeah, he is.
He is.
But like I said, with him, it's just anytime a Viking comes up for Hall of Fame, unless there's somebody like Moss or Carter who just totally changed the game, then it's gonna be a hard time for them to get in because they never won a championship. Just like some of the other teams have never won a championship. I mean, look at the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have had some fantastic players in their history, and they have hardly any Hall of Famers.
Yeah, the only one the Cardinals really have is Dan Deerdorf.
Yeah. So, and they've been a team. They were one of the first. They were probably the first NFL. I think they're the longest running NFL team.
The Bears and the Packers.
Yeah,
they're the first ones. You're right. You are right, Gil. You want to put Gil's comment up there if you can?
The KOC one.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is a nice guy. That's why they signed him. He's the opposite of Zimmer. But as I've said before, the last 2 years of Viking football, these are probably the softest Viking teams I have seen in history. They're soft. Very soft.
The Gophers are tougher than they are.
Exactly. And
yeah,
Rashad probably wouldn't have been with us if it hadn't been for. Okay, Skull for Life. Here's a story with Rashad. He was in Seattle.
Oh, not even close, Sarah, by the way.
Yeah.
No, they've been a team since the 30s, and I think they have 4 championships total.
They got 4 altogether.
Yeah.
Rashad was with the Seahawks, and he didn't want to be there because it was an expansion team. It was just a casual conversation between Bud Grant and then Seattle head coach Jack Patera. They were good friends. Well, they worked out a trade, and it was kind of like, and it was just basically Patera saying he wanted to move. I can't move Rashad. Nobody will take him. He's becoming a problem. I don't know what to do with him. So Bud was like, okay, so you say you work out a trade. What would you want for him? And honest to God, this is what Patera said. I don't know. How about Lurtzma? That's all it took. It took a phone call. And Fran wanted another wide receiver. He wanted another wide receiver. His main guy, John Gilliam, in the offseason kept saying he wanted to play at home. So he went to Atlanta. And so he ended up in Atlanta. Sammy White was a rookie. He looked good, but he looked good though. But there was nobody next to him. Jim Lash was unspectacular. We traded Jim Lash that year for Sammy Johnson, the running back.
Who was our tight end that year?
Stu Voigt.
Okay, so we did have a great tight end, and at that time. Okay.
Yeah, we had Stu Voigt, and then the next year in '77 we got Bob Tucker, and that was Fran Tarkenton again lobbying for Bob Tucker because he had Tucker with the Giants. And but yeah, Tarkenton wanted more weapons, and also when you bring Rashad in, you got Sammy White, you still got Chuck Foreman as an offensive threat coming out of the backfield. So yeah, Tarkenton lobbied a lot for a lot of players.
And as much as we love Fran Tarkenton, he's kind of the reason why we haven't won a Super Bowl either. If he would have stayed with us,
yeah,
we probably would have won the was a Super Bowl. The Joe Cap one was that Super Bowl
probably and four,
yeah.
And it's not for lack of trying, but Grant wanted to keep him. But one thing that people didn't realize about Fran had the biggest ego. And he thought by going to New York, he would turn that Giants team around and it would take guys off of Joe Namath. And we saw what happened. Yeah. So leader teams are both hard and nice. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But you've got a generation of players that is basically now you've got inmates running the asylum, as they say. And man,
I can't remember though. Mike Zimmer was a great head coach for his first 4 or 5 years. His basically what happened was the old cliche of the coaches argument got stale. No one wanted to listen to it anymore.
It got stale, and he got into it when he got into it with Norv Turner. The players saw that, and then Kirk.
He didn't want Kirk.
He didn't want Kirk.
He did not want Kirk at all.
Spielman forced Kirk on him, and then Spielman extended him, and so that added to it. That was a lot of it. Yes, Goal for Life. That is BS with Marshall. Big BS.
Yeah, I've met Jim Marshall before.
Mm-hmm.
I have big hands. I look like I had an infant hand compared to him. His hands are the biggest hands I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen basketball. I've seen basketball players' hands. His hands are like he can cover my face. I'm like 6'2", 260. And my face is pretty big, and his hand can like literally cover my face. But it's like, I always wonder why he was never in the Hall of Fame. And then this year when they said that he's not even getting in with the Veterans Committee, I'm like, what the hell's going on? Yes, I know he had the backwards run, and I know he never won a championship, but what the hell? He's one of the best defensive ends to ever play the game. What the hell is going on? Why? There's people in the Hall of Fame who couldn't hold his damn jock strap.
Here's what I was told, and I was talking to Bob Lurtson about this too.
Sorry, Skull, you got me fired up. Marshall's one of my favorite all-time Vikings, man.
Because I asked Bob Lurtson about this. 2 things. One, he never won a Super Bowl. And 2, he was overshadowed by Carl Eller and Alan Page. Nationally.
Right.
That's the biggest one is most of these national guys. The guy that used to do the voting for the local was, before he died for a while, was Sid Hartman. Now, I'm not sure who it is. But every city has whatever.
Would it be Rouse?
Royce? No, it's not
Royce. No, sorry.
It's not Royce. I might have been maybe Thomason? Chris Thomason?
Well, he's not here anymore. He went to Denver.
He was, I think. I have to check and see. It's
so
would it
be Seifert then for ESPN since he's back?
I don't think he works for National. He's not.
Oh, so we're talking. So it would be Tom Parcell or anything.
It would be. It would be one of
It'd be someone like a Don Mitchell or something like that.
It would be one of the reporters in the Twin Cities. It would be a Twin Cities beat reporter for the Vikings.
Okay.
That's how they used to. I have to look at that. Thanks for now. I got to look at that and see how they do that. But yeah, that's one of the reasons.
Well, next 2 questions are about Kirk to the Jets. I think that ship has sailed. One, because he used the Jets as leverage to sign with the Vikings, and the Jets would not offer him guaranteed money. So,
and also it's depending on what happens with Rodgers, he'll be back. If this team makes a playoffs, so from the surgery I heard, he's.
Well, they ain't making the playoffs with Wilson as their quarterback.
Right, he'll be back. So he's nobody wants Kirk. Bottom line.
Well, there is one team that does want him.
Who?
Niners.
No, they don't. That ship has sailed. Also, if I got If I've got Purdy and I'm going to Kirk, no. Kirk does not fit that offensive scheme at all. At all. I'm not. There is no way I'm getting rid of a young quarterback in a Brock Purdy who that team is now rallying around, and that team is his. I'm not benching him for Kirk Cousins. No way. Shanahan might want him, but John Lynch the GM is going to be like, no, you're not. No.
Well, there's teams out there that could do better at quarterback, but
yeah, well, we'll see what the Niners can do because Purdy took some hits today. But here's the thing with Purdy, though. CMC stays healthy, and that's a big if. 49ers will be fine. You know, they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true school for life. Zimmer was old school, and a lot of these young cats can't deal with that. They soft. I'm sorry, they soft. They cannot deal with that.
Yeah. For how good the 49ers are, their offensive line's not very good.
No.
That's the weakest part of their team.
Which is why it all depends on if CMC can stay healthy, because we know he can't. He gets banged up early.
Yeah.
You know, and that's probably because he runs so hard. But yeah, it's
he looked good today, but that was against the Rams. The Rams really only have one good defensive player in Donald.
Yeah.
The rest of their players are okay, but they're not great.
No. No, and they almost still won the game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's the thing with Kirk is it's only team that's willing to give Kirk the kind of money he wants has been Minnesota. So
they gotta stop. Don't get me wrong. People know. I know Sarah, especially. You know, I am not a Kirk Cousins hater. I know where Kirk Cousins is in the quarterback ladder. He's a top anywhere between 10 to 15 people will have him. You know, and people complain about the money he makes. Well, it's called supply and demand. There's not even 32 people in the world who can quarterback an NFL team. There's only maybe about 20 at the most who could be considered a good to halfway decent starter. So quarterbacks will always make the most money. They will always make more money than everybody else because it's supply and demand. It's the position. So him making all that money that he was making, I wasn't mad at it, but it is time. He's 35. He doesn't get hurt. That's another thing. If he got hurt, it'd be a lot easier.
He hasn't got hurt yet.
Yeah, then it'd be a lot easier for people to say. But with him not getting hurt, the Wolves are like, well, look, he's there all the time. He doesn't get hurt. You know, I mean, he does put up numbers. They're not all garbage numbers. He does put up numbers. Can the Vikings? I personally think the Vikings can win with Kirk Cousins. My issue is they know Kirk Cousins' shortcomings, and they just totally ignore them.
And you ignore. You don't build. You don't put a game plan around those shortcomings. You expect, and this is a coach problem.
Yeah.
In general, coaches always come in, and coaches have bigger egos than the players.
Oh yeah,
always
I can fix this guy.
Right, sir. Like, guess what? I'll put my system in, and we'll be successful. Yeah, but if you got players that don't fit your system, you're going to have problems. KOC problem. You got a system, and these players you got probably don't fit it. You're trying to make them. You're trying to force them to fit.
Yeah,
and it's not working. Especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, that's where great coaches come in. Great coaches adapt to the players they have.
You adapt to the players, yeah.
You don't make the players fit your system if they don't. I love Daniil Hunter. He is not a 3-4 guy.
He's not a 3-4 guy. He's not a 3-4 guy.
I don't think any DJ Wanham. Everybody's like, oh, DJ Wanham's not producing. Well, DJ Wanham, as I know,
DJ Wanham was literally playing out of position.
He's literally playing out of position as a South Carolina. South Carolina played a 4-2-5 defense. That's where he was. He played defensive end in a 4-2-5 defense.
And here's another thing too,
which is essentially the same as a 4-3 for people. You know, you just take one linebacker out and add a cornerback. That's the difference between
basically
a 4-3.
A 4-2-5 could be like, say, if we had J-Ron Curse now.
Yeah.
J-Ron Curse could jump to the linebacker spot because he's big enough, and it would be a 4-3, or he can back up in the secondary. Then it's a 4-2-5,
which is what they want to use Metellus for.
Right, and that's what Metellus.
But Curse is bigger.
much bigger. He's about the size of Scene, maybe even bigger. But
Yeah.
that was supposed to be Lewis Scene's gig.
Who?
You know, that guy that
Lewis Scene, who
Yeah.
can't be seen. You know,
Exactly.
that guy.
Yeah. Lewis, I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be his spot. But yeah, it's and that's
I really
all
had
that's
hope,
just
I
all
really had
coaching.
hopes for him too.
Yep.
No, but it's coaching. It's definitely not using, and also going back to everybody even knows, even Tom Brady said it, because Tom Brady was good at play action, and they're like, Tom Brady goes, I'm not even the best. He goes, that guy of Minnesota is the best play action quarterback in the NFL.
By the way,
but if you don't run the ball, how can you do play action?
Exactly. Here's another thing too with the whole San Francisco and Kirk thing. Is Trent Williams still in San Francisco playing left tackle?
I do not believe so. Because if Trent Williams is there.
Yeah, exactly. Because Trent Williams wouldn't come to Minnesota because of Kirk Cousins. They inquired about Trent Williams. Trent said he would not play with Kirk Cousins. So right there, players in the NFL, they know things. And bringing Kirk into a San Francisco locker room that is set, and if you give up anybody, if you give up somebody worth that, yes, Trent Williams is.
He's
still there. It ain't happening. Okay. It ain't happening. Yeah, it's
that's probably why they haven't done it yet.
No, they haven't done it because John Lynch is a good GM. That's why they haven't done it. John Lynch.
I don't know why the Vikings didn't hire a football guy.
Because the Wilfs don't know. The Wilfs were what the Wilfs are trying to do, and Justin brought this up last night. The Vikings are trying to get out of this hellhole of a cap problem that they have.
Yeah, I saw that last night. Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why they got Kwesi, because Kwesi is an analytics guy and a financial guy, so he can figure out the numbers and make the numbers work. But
isn't that what that guy Brzezinski for, though?
Brzezinski's a hack. I'm just going to say it. Brzezinski's a hack. Brzezinski's good at kicking money down the road. That's why we got so much money on the back books. You know, you got Brian Williams to take a pay cut. You just kick money down the road. You know, Hawkinson's money. You know, you're still on the books for these guys, whether you keep them or not.
I mean, you have to pay the piper eventually. All these contracts have to come to.
I mean,
you can't kick him down the road forever.
I mean, we still paid for Zimmer and Spielman for a couple of seasons. I think we're finally off the hook with them now. I mean, we're on the hook for Kirk, and Kirk's probably not going to be here next year. We're on the hook for him next year. You know,
that's where I think most of us don't want Kirk back. I think the Wilfs, will the Wilfs make Kwesi re-sign him for one more year? Because, like you said, if they do re-sign him for one more year, that dead money does come down. You can make 10 of it this year and break the other half. And make
Put it this way:
the next year after that, but
if this team's record, if they're back to they're starting out 0-2, if they end up average again, like 9-8, they win the division at 9-8. Guess what?
Yeah,
Kirk is back.
Yeah, they're re-signing Kirk.
They'll re-sign Kirk,
especially if he wins a playoff game. If we play the Saints again in the playoffs, we'll be.
Yeah, you're just delaying the inevitable. I would have moved on from Kirk. I would have blew up this team 2 years ago. But with the
that's not the Minnesota way, though.
It needs to be.
Minnesota is. I mean, look at it. We don't want to get rid of twins. We don't want to get rid of wild players. We don't want to get rid of.
Have you ever heard of Minnesota mediocre?
I know
that's what it is up here. Mediocre, and these fans are happy. I'm sick of mediocre.
Well, yes, if they restructure his contract, they can afford him.
Right. Well, let's see. Now, here's the thing, too.
Unless he wants Mahomes money, then
they're going to have to decide. They're going to have to decide if they want to extend him or give him a new contract. First of all, he's not getting the type of money he wants outside of Minnesota. So he's probably. I mean,
well, that's why I said any team that needs a quarterback that will take him, but they won't take him at the price he's at right now.
Right.
You don't think the Raiders would rather have him as a quarterback than Garoppolo?
Not with Josh McDaniel, no.
No.
I think Josh McDaniels is waiting for that New England job to open up.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Which here's the thing, I
And
wouldn't have
Mac
hired.
Jones is not good either.
No, here's the thing though, I wouldn't have hired Josh McDaniels, especially after what he did to the Colts, the way he
Right.
stood up the Colts. I wouldn't even look at him as another head coaching gig. But for some reason, Mark Davis, he's not the Maverick that his dad was. But you know,
And someone please tell Mark Davis to change his haircut.
oh, you don't like the Howdy Doody look?
Oh my gosh.
You don't like that little boy, that
Oh.
little bowl cut that went out in the 1960s? You don't like that?
See, Gil, I don't know if Kirk's going to do that.
Kirk won't do it.
He says he wants to finish his career in Minnesota. Well, Kirk, if that's true and you really want to finish your career in Minnesota, you're going to have to take at least a $20 million pay cut.
Yeah, he's not going to do it.
The Vikings will, any Viking fan will take you for $20 million a year.
No, I won't.
But,
No, I won't.
because, I mean,
I want him gone.
well,
I want him gone. I'm sick of delaying the inevitable. You're going to have to get a younger quarterback.
well, I'm saying what I'm saying for that 1 year until they get it, like if they draft a quarterback, where are they going to draft a quarterback?
Well,
Is
here's another thing too.
Do they really like Jaron Hall? Do they want Jaron Hall to sit one more year before he becomes the starter?
We'll never know because he'll never play.
Because Cousins never gets hurt.
Cousins, well, and let's not jinx him, okay? At the way this offensive line is playing with the hits he's taken, and he's 35 years old, no, the only undefeated person in the world is Father Time. I mean, he's one hit from being laid out and not getting up.
Well, then, if that happens, is it Mullins or is it Hall?
I think if it's the Wilfs, they're going with Mullins because they want to win games. They figure they can win with Mullins. If it's KLC and if it's Quezzy, I'm playing Hall. I've seen what Hall can do, but here's the problem with Hall. Who's going to call the plays for him? Because in preseason, it was Wes Phillips calling his plays.
He looked pretty good.
And yeah, which I think you've got Wes Phillips as an offensive coordinator. Just give him the play calling KLC. Stop calling the plays. You need to take over this team, period. You're the head coach. In his presser, when KLC said, they asked him who's going to call the plays. I forget who it was, but he's like, I will be calling the plays. I'm like, yeah, I knew that was coming, Brad.
I don't know. Do you think he has, or do you think his ego is too big? Do you think he has the wherewithal to say, hey, I need to concentrate more on just being the head coach? And I can still, if I think this play is going to work better in this situation, I can override my OC. Or do you think he's be like, no, I'm calling the plays. If calling my plays gets me fired, it gets me fired.
Somebody's going to have to override him, and I think that person is going to finally get in his face and tell him something is Brian Flores. Because his play calling is leaving that young defense out there on the field for far too long. And if I'm Brian Flores, I'm going to start raising particular hell. You either you need to start playing ball control to give my defense a fighting chance to win some games for you. They're young, but when they're gassed before halftime, that's a problem. And that's on your offense with the 3 and outs.
The first 15 scripted plays always seem to be good. So that's why they always seem to lead or always seem to score the first drive. Hasn't happened yet this year. I think that was more because of Russ in the first game. This year they were playing. I don't, but there always seems to be a lull somewhere in the game. Now, I get it. All offenses take your foot off the gas. You have to punt every once in a while. I get that.
No,
but not three. But not 3 and outs like 4 times in a row. And then
this offense went through that last year.
Yeah,
they went through this last year. This was a problem last year. You didn't fix it. Just like you didn't fix your offensive line. Just like you didn't upgrade your defense. You won 13 games and you're laying on your laurels. Well, guess what? You didn't blow anybody out those 13 games. You barely won 11 of them. But you're so content with that. It's like, okay, you as a head coach, you didn't look at film in off season, say, okay, we need to improve on this, we need to improve on that, we need players here, we need players there, we need to upgrade that offensive line to keep Kirk upright. If he took a lot of hits last year, look at all the hits he's taken through week 2 of the NFL season this year. You really want to keep him? You really think he's going to roll like that? You really think he's going to last? And you're going to be playing better defenses.
Yeah.
You know. No, beef. You know what though? Beeflo will do it. He will do it because he wants to regain his image, but you're leaving his defense out there, and they're getting gashed and tired, and it doesn't help when your offense is 3 and out. And he's gonna be a HC regardless of what happens between him and KOC. But he will say something.
I mean, isn't that part of the reason why they hired him? Because he does have head coach experience, something that O'Connell can bounce stuff off of. Like, hey, I know you're the head coach and you were in this situation. What, I'm sure they talk, about situations.
They if they don't, well, put it this way: if they lose next week, there's going to be you're going to start hearing some rumblings.
But would the Wilfs really get rid of KOC in the second season?
No, they'll keep him. Because the Wilfs don't want it. The Wilfs will be the first ones, and you will never hear the Wilfs admit they made a mistake.
Yeah,
they will, and it's not in their nature. They stay with Brad Childress, and what did it take for them to get rid of Brad Childress? Brad Childress cutting Randy Moss
without telling him,
and that's what got him. And well, also they got their asses kicked by Green Bay. That's following Sunday. That's what got Brad Childress run out of town. But no, they're not gonna. You don't
get rid of what everybody considers the franchise.
Right. And you don't. And so the Wilfs won't do that, but the Wilfs will do PR gymnastics to make everything out to be hunky dory.
See, what I don't think Brad Childress realized was that I would probably say a good majority of Viking fans are Vikings fans. Because of Randy Moss.
The younger generation, yeah.
I mean, Zoe's a perfect example of that.
Yep.
He doesn't care about anything before 98.
Yep.
So, I mean, you can't treat a guy like that. Which I love the fact that Randy Moss still got love for the Vikings, even though he was treated. I think Randy's smart enough to realize it was the guy, not the organization. So I love the fact that he still loves the Vikings.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Patriots fan, but damn, I wish he would have got his ring with the Patriots. But it's so yeah, I think even the Wilfs realized that was a dirty move.
Hey Gil,
so what he insulted the food that you served in a locker room. Serve better food.
Actually, I had a friend of mine that went to that same restaurant.
Yeah.
And they did that whole spread like they did for the Vikings.
Yeah.
He told me that food was bad.
So bad. Come on, man.
It was bad. But hey, Gil, that is true.
They didn't trade him. They really. No, Brad Childress had complete control. That's why he was able to.
Yeah, Brad Childress had complete control and cut him. He cut him. Yep, he cut him. But what Gil said, I think they probably are good friends, even if they did play together in New England or coach together in New England. But so was Norv Turner and Mike Zimmer, and look what happened there. So I mean, it does happen. It happens with friends. You can be the best of buds. You're gonna have whatever arguments, And if whatever is happening is causing beef, is causing Flores to look bad.
Well, plus they're both alphas too,
and they're both alphas. Yeah, Flores is going to get a head coaching job. It'll either. I think he goes.
Watch it be Detroit.
Oh God.
Detroit finally did something right. Oh,
you know what? And if it don't work out with Eberflus, I'd even say Chicago. But yeah, I mean,
I think Chicago's cursed more than. Oh no, Detroit's cursed too.
Well, they're both cursed.
Yeah,
but at least the Bears got a trophy.
Yeah.
But they're trying to go back to those days.
Maybe if the Packers prove they're not good without Rodgers, maybe the 12-year-old boy gets fired. That's what everybody calls him, because he's so young. He looks so young.
Oh, Flores? Or not
No,
LaFleur?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does look like he just got out of
Yeah.
just graduated high school. That's what I said.
Even with that beard, you still look young, man.
That's what I said. You've got the geek squad running sports nowadays.
Who has it worked for though? Because the Chiefs, they don't have that. They got football guys running that team.
Yeah, they've always
the Rams. You can say what you want about McVay, even though he's an analytic guy, he's still a football guy.
And he's got Raheem Morris, and but Kroenke's got money. Yeah. Kroenke's got more money than the Wilfs because Kroenke built that stadium out of his own pocket.
Well, the Pohlads got more money than the Wilfs.
Yeah,
Kroenke. Yeah. People are like, oh, just build a stadium like Kroenke did. Not everybody's got Kroenke money.
No, here's what happened with LA. When it came time to build the stadium, they had a vote. Yeah. LA County had a vote, and they said, no, we're not funding a sports stadium. So, Kroenke owns, I think, one of the Premier League teams, or he's got ownership in that. They hate him, but he's got ownership in that team, but he's got money up the wazoo. He says, screw it. I'll build it with my own money out of my own pocket.
You guys won't get any money from any of the
You won't get any money. Matter of fact, he's fleeced the Chargers into paying him rent.
Chargers need their own stadium, man.
And that was
because people are like, oh, the Chargers are coming to Minnesota, so it's a home game. I go, it's a home game when they play the Chargers in LA too for the Vikings.
Yeah, it's more transplant Viking fans. Well, and you know whose bright idea that was to put two teams in LA. It wasn't Roger Goodell.
It was probably Jerry Jones.
Exactly.
Jerry.
Exactly. And not to mention the NFL's got their TV studio in that stadium.
It's literally like same parking lot.
Yeah, it's right there. So that was all Jerry Jones.
Well, Jerry Jones owns an NFL Network too.
Now Dion doesn't want to coach, and he doesn't want to coach the pros. He said that.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to deal. He doesn't get this. Dion doesn't want to deal with the egos of professional athletes.
Spoken from a guy who has an ego.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything.
I mean, they barely beat Colorado State. Colorado State's not a very good team. Colorado is not very good. They're just riding momentum of none of you chose us. They're eventually going to run into a team that's better everywhere, and they're going to show how. They only won one game last year. The head coach, he can make a difference, but he can't make that much of a difference. No. So, yeah, they have better talent, but yeah, they're not going to get more than 4 to 5 wins.
Trade Hunter and Kirk and get a different QB. I agree with you, Dan.
The Wilfs won't do that.
Yeah, the Wilfs won't do it.
The Wilfs want to. It goes back to the whole Mark Wilf. We're gonna rebuild.
Competitive
rebuild. Do it competitively.
Yeah, we can rebuild right now, but we can competitive rebuild.
Yeah. Look at Jacksonville. They went to the AFC Championship game. It didn't work. They got rid of their quarterback. They got rid of all the players that were a cancer. They say suck. They got Trevor Lawrence. Now look at them.
By the way, did you realize Jacksonville's got 2 weeks in a row in London?
Yeah.
Shad Khan's trying to really move that team over to London, isn't he?
I mean, they might. He's trying to play there because I have a family that lives in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And there's some news reports that he's trying to have them play there for a year because they're remodeling Jacksonville Stadium.
Yeah,
he's going to try to get them to play there that year as opposed to going to Orlando. Which, I mean, money making wise, it's probably more feasible to make more money in London because you won't just get Jacksonville fans.
No, but it's still London.
It's a hell of people don't understand the logistics of that.
Doesn't work. The only thing that works in London is the gambling.
Right. Unlike here where it's state to state there. It's,
right.
Yeah.
You're right, Dan. I want to rebuild the trenches too, both sides of the ball. I want to rebuild both trenches. This is, like I said before, this is unusual for Viking fans, especially those that know. We've always had great offensive lines and defensive lines.
Yeah, that's one thing Minnesota is known for is being defensive line. That is through the history of the Vikings, defensive line from the Purple People Eaters to the Williams Wall. Vikings defensive line has always been the one thing you count on in the Vikings.
Yep.
Is having a defensive line.
And
so
even
what the hell happened?
Even those Super Bowl years, we still had good offensive lines.
Yeah, Tingelhoff, Yeri,
Ed White, guys like that, Grady Alderman, Milt Sunday, and later on McDaniel, Zimmerman.
Milt Sunday. You talk about someone who's overrated, underrated.
Oh yeah, Tim Irwin.
Yeah,
was with us for 15 years. Played right tackle. He took over right after we traded Ron Yeri to the Rams.
Yeah.
So for like
Loudermilk.
I love Loudermilk.
Yeah.
Willie was a good one too.
Yeah.
But we've always had those offensive line, and
and defense. Yeah, same thing with defensive.
It always started O and D line, and most of our Hall of Famers are linemen.
Yeah,
on both sides of the ball.
So where we've had a history of great defensive line and offensive line, the Vikings. Every organization lacks somewhere. For the Vikings, it's been quarterback. Other places like Green Bay, they've had luck with quarterbacks, but they're weak in other places.
Yeah, we do need a mobile quarterback. Here's the thing with Green Bay, and this is what a lot of
Kirk is mobile. He just doesn't run. He has it in his mind. I am a statue. He's just as athletic as a statue. Well, no, he just doesn't run.
Have you seen him run?
Yes, I've seen him run. He doesn't have. You don't have to be a track star to be a mobile quarterback in the NFL. You just have to move to the left, move to the right, run 4 or 5 yards. If it's a 3rd and 3, you run to 4 or 5 yards to get it. He just doesn't do it. He has the ability. He has the ability to do that. Now he's not a mobile quarterback in the sense of like a Justin Fields. He's not a mobile quarterback that way. No. But as far as on a 3rd and 3, if it opens up in front of you, run 5 yards to get the first down, he can do that. He just doesn't.
No, he'll stand back there. And one of the other problems is he can't sense a pass rush. That's part of his problem too.
Those are his two biggest weaknesses as a quarterback is he doesn't run when he should.
Right.
And then he can't feel. He's not very good at feeling the pressure.
Right.
Those are his two biggest weaknesses.
Now here's the thing.
He can throw the ball. He can throw the ball just as good as any quarterback in the NFL. Place it where it needs to go. Yep. He can do all that. That's not an issue. It's just I don't know why he just doesn't run.
He has been with a lot of his, like with the Packers. The Packers got lucky with Farr, who was a trade.
Yeah, from the Falcons.
He was a trade from the Falcons. So really the idiot there was
and the only reason they got him from the Falcons is because Ron Wolf was with the Falcons the year before.
Right.
Then he went to Green Bay. And he's the reason why the Falcons drafted Favre in the first place. Right. So if Ron Wolf never goes to Green Bay, Favre never goes to Green Bay.
Right. But I'm old enough to remember when the Packers,
so am I,
at quarterback were like the Vikings recently with many quarterbacks. I mean, put it this way. At one time, the Packers had a quarterback named Carlos Brown. Okay. Carlos Brown became an actor. His name was Alan Autry, and he played Bubba on the TV show In the Still of the Night. He was starting quarterback for the Packers in 1976 because Lynn Dickey got hurt.
Yep. Dickey wasn't bad, but he wasn't on the same level as the quarterbacks before him.
Yeah, he couldn't stay healthy. I mean, between Starr and Favre, the Packers had
the Viking situation.
They had the Viking situation, and that was 20 years.
Yeah.
That was 20 years.
From 70 like 72 to 92. Yeah.
Yeah, 72 to 92.
The Packers were 71 you can start to see the decline, but from late 71 until 92 the Packers were what the Lions are.
And the Packers had Don Horn as a backup to Starr, but then I think Don Horn went to Chicago or Denver. He went to Denver. They had Scott Hunter. They had some dude that sounded like he was in the mob, El DeGaizo or something DeGaizo.
Yeah.
Jerry Taggy, Lynn Dickey, David Whitehurst.
Oh, God, Whitehurst.
Yeah.
I loved watching him play, especially when he played against Minnesota.
Yep. I mean, the Rams were so bad. At one time, they had Randy Wright, Vince Ferragamo, Jim Zorn all on their roster.
And that was better than what the Packers had.
Better than what they... And that was still better. We were lucky. We went from, I think Kramer would have been our quarterback longer if he hadn't hurt his knee.
Or if he didn't drink as much.
Yeah, that too. But we went from
I love that guy. But
he could knock him back.
oh yeah.
He could knock him back. Yeah, Gil Darisaw right now.
Well, we got no depth because his backup's
We got no depth. Yeah, his backup's out for the year, which Quisenberry can play.
He played okay.
Right. He
But
played.
here's the thing, though. You hear teams draft a quarterback until they get it right.
Mm-hmm.
So should Minnesota do that with the offensive line? I mean, obviously, Jordan Addison was a hell of a pick. I don't, he was, So do you pick a player like a Jordan Addison in the first round? But for some reason, the Vikings seem to only pick guards, other than Ingram, but they seem to pick guards like in the 5th round or later. How many starting guards in the NFL are third round picks?
Vidarian Lowe starting tonight. He was 6th.
Right. Something. Well, that's because he plays the Patriots offensive line's worse than Minnesota's.
But he's starting. You can start in New England, but you can't start in Minnesota?
And
you drafted him?
I mean, he can't be worse than Ingram.
Are you sure about that?
We'll find out tonight.
Well, so far he's out there. I ain't heard his name, but it's like
I don't even have the game on. I have nothing on right now. But
it's like you drafted this.
Is there a score update?
Yeah, 17-3 Miami. 8:25 in the third quarter.
God, Miami's going to be good this year if Tua stays healthy.
Yeah, it's a big if. That's a big if. You don't have anybody behind Darisaw. Udo was your only backup. He's gone.
Yeah.
They should have. They have a couple of roster spots open now, don't they?
Have they officially moved him to IR?
I think they will. They'll probably do that Monday or Tuesday.
And they did O'Neill's restructure.
Right.
So.
And I don't remember.
Well, now they have no excuse. I don't know what's the reason why. I know he's a better pass blocker than run blocker, but you have Reisner. He can't play tackle.
Can we just stop with the Reiser talk?
I was never one of those where we had to sign Reiser, but he's probably the best one available.
Here's the thing, though. When you had him here and you didn't sign him, you let him walk out without a contract.
That kind of was a good sign that you weren't going to sign him.
That was a very good sign that you weren't going to sign him. So now you look desperate. And here's the thing. We really don't have that much money, and he could ask a king's ransom.
Yeah. Well, I think we have $11 million available after restructure, I think.
Yeah, and he'll ask
for a lot.
He'll ask for all of it, just to be okay. You had me there before. I think he wanted also a starting job. So
he can't be worse than Ingram.
No.
Hey, he's a better pass blocker. If you want to pass the ball, fine. Why not sign someone who's better at pass blocking?
Well,
some of the decisions that the front office makes.
They're not football.
It's amazing that the Vikings. It's amazing the Vikings went 13-4 with some of the decisions that the front office makes.
What the 13-4 did was cover up the glaring holes.
Yeah.
But what the losses did was expose those holes. But because you had you won 13 games, covered up a lot of those holes.
I mean, yeah, Sarah, that's probably.
Yeah, Sarah, you're right. There probably are red flags with him.
I heard he's not a very good teammate.
Well, he's not Richie Incognito type of teammate, but
but Richie Incognito would put you on your ass.
Yeah, and he was just excuse my language, just a dick in the locker room.
On and off the field. But
on and off the field.
But you knew what you were getting.
Right.
You don't think this team needs an Incognito. They need someone with that nastiness.
Yeah, this team is just too soft.
Bears and Jets. Need guards too, and yet Risers.
You know what? And I'm not a Kirk defender. Matter of fact, I'm
more of a defender than you are, but neither one of us hate him.
No, I'm to the point now where this year so far I feel bad for Kirk because this front office didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to keep him upright. They didn't.
What about they had a chance, and I don't know why they didn't. They had enough money to at the time. The guy that went to the Chiefs, Joe Thuney, when he was a free agent, I don't even think the Vikings talked to him.
They didn't because they didn't have the money. They didn't have the money. That was, and I'm not really sure that Minnesota was on his radar once Andy Reid started talking to him. He was all in.
Got Andy Reid on one line, and I got the Vikings on the other. Oh, sorry, my wife's calling me to dinner, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Seattle signed a 41-year-old instead of Sarah. Who was that? Who was that they signed? Yeah, if they signed a 41-year-old instead of Reisner, yeah, that tells you something right there with Reisner. And he might not. I mean, who knows? He's coming off injury too.
Well, especially if he's demanding a starting job.
Yeah,
that's going to knock out pretty much 99.9% of your teams anyway.
Yeah.
And the other teams that want to sign you, if they want you to start, you're probably asking too much money.
And here's another thing: that ex-Eagle. Oh God, I don't even have it. The ex-Eagle. I think I know what she's talking about.
Well, there was also
Jason Peters. Yeah,
Jason Peters. I thought he was a tackle.
Yeah, he's a tackle.
But what's his name? Vitae got hurt today, so there's another team looking for.
Vitae's with the Lions?
Yeah.
Well, so they're looking for a guard, but they've got cap space too.
Yeah.
Here's another thing too. Nobody really knows what scheme they're running here.
Yeah.
That has a lot to do with it too.
I mean, you see that's the thing. Yeah, I know you run your offense. You have the way your offense is run. But offensive line, you can run a zone offense with any offense.
Yeah,
you can run a zone blocking offense with any offense. Whether it's a running offense, a passing offense, you can run a zone offense, and that's what the Viking players mostly are, zone rock, because that's the scheme that they ran with Kubiak.
Mm-hmm.
They're all zone blocking offensive linemen.
Yeah, yeah, but you got to run the ball,
especially Bradbury. Yeah. Bradbury gets his ass kicked against heavy guys, but he's good at pulling.
And I'm sorry, that video of him getting tossed in practice, that's practice. What the hell's going to happen in the game? And we've seen what happens in games for 4 years. Vita Vea,
he didn't want to play Vita Vea. He acted like he had a back injury. Oh, my back. Oh my
God,
back.
Yeah.
My back. Coach, I can't play my back. Oh,
yeah.
That's a big man out there. No, my back, coach.
Exactly. He's like, first play, Vita probably said something to him, probably said boo, and he's like, oh my God, my back.
It's going to be a long day, boy.
Yeah.
It's going to be my back, coach.
Yep. I'm sure King of the Sideline Schlappman was like, thanks a lot, quitter.
Yeah. I don't want to face him either, but you know what? I'll be the man. I'll go out there, which he ended up holding his own pretty well. He got beat really bad on that one play, but gaming is what he is.
Gaming the Jets aren't going to take Kirk, because then they're also on the hook for part of that contract too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you said Wilson isn't very good. Yeah, he's not.
Yeah. But Wilson,
make sure you put a Z in front of that, because that receiver Wilson is good for the Jets.
Garrett Wilson is good.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson is good. Zach Wilson is not any good. They shouldn't have even re-signed Bradbury Gaming.
Yeah, no. They should not have re-signed
that was a real head scratcher. You already said you weren't
going to pick up.
No. You said you weren't going to pick up his 5th-year option, but then you re-signed him to a new 3-year deal. And that made no sense. And of course, the Vikings spun it as we re-signed him to bring continuity to the offensive line. Well, if your continuity sucks, come on,
they need to keep the Vikings tackles are awesome. They need to keep their tackles, but they can just redo the whole interior. And Cleveland, if Cleveland plays well again this week, then okay, keep Ezra. But they needed the guard, and because Ezra doesn't make a lot of money.
No.
So, but
Ezra's still on his rookie contract.
Yeah. So, and with the way he's playing, he's probably not going to be a top paid guard either. So, I think Ezra's pretty safe. He's not the best, but he's not a liability out there.
I wanted John Michael Schmitz too. He was from the University of Minnesota. I wanted him too, and the Giants got him. Hell, I'd even trade with the Giants to get him.
Here's the thing, though. We, as fans of the Vikings, we love everything about the University. Minnesota. Keep Minnesota home. Problem is the people running the Vikings, they're not even from Minnesota, so they don't have the same loyalty.
But here's the thing, though.
So that, like like Antoine Winfield, John Schmitz, they would look awesome in purple.
Here's the thing, though. The guys we're talking about, even there was a Ty Johnson at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
When him and Antoine Winfield were eligible to be drafted, they were positions of need for the Vikings, just like John Michael Schmitz was a position of need for this team. And they ignored him. Completely ignored him. The friggin' university is basically, if you want to be technical about it, basically down the street.
If you walk it, it's still it's like 25 minutes.
Yeah. How can you and these are guys, and like I said, these are positions of need. How do you not see them?
Gladney, I think Gladney was bigger, so I think that's why they took Gladney.
And unfortunately,
Winfield was gone before the Vikings picked again.
And unfortunately, Gladney rest his soul. He didn't pan out.
No,
he did not pan. And they drafted Cameron Dantzler too. Both of those guys did not pan out. But you can't miss. They're right there in front of you. At least show some interest. And like I said, and John Michael Schmitz, hometown guy, he's nationally known. I think he was one of the trophy winners, or one. He was like the top center.
I think he was a finalist. He was a finalist for the Center Award.
For the Remington Award. He was a finalist.
Yeah.
For the Remington. Okay, he's right there. He's in your backyard. How do you not go get him? How do you not?
Yeah, Falele is a huge human.
And Falele is a tackle. Technically a tackle.
That's the one thing the Vikings really don't need.
Yeah, and he was a big guy. He's like 6'8". But he's I think
we knew what you meant, Vikings. Yeah, we knew what you meant.
Yeah, we know what you meant.
He's like 6'9", 350, like 390. Yeah. He's huge.
Yeah, we know who you were talking about. But
yeah. We knew who you were talking about.
They were right there. They're in the hometown. And they ignore Minnesota.
Which is weird because some of the greatest Vikings are from,
Yeah, we draft. Eller. We actually drafted Bobby Bell, who ended up with the Chiefs. He was a Viking draft choice. We've had, Cheryl's Tyrone Carter.
Yeah, Tyrone Carter. That's what I couldn't think of. Yeah,
Tyrone Carter. Bob Stein, but he had been with a bunch of teams. But we've got the hometown guy, even Bud. Come on. You got Bud.
You have a Big Ten school, literally a stone's throw away from your stadium.
Yes, and you just ignore them. It's like that, and that's on scouting, which has been bad first. I say it's been bad since Scott Studwell retired. Whoever's running the scouting now.
Yeah, who replaced him? We don't know. Is it a committee thing?
It's a committee thing.
Committees are never good.
Yeah. Well,
you need someone making a decision. Is what.
Well, see, and this was a Mark Wolf deal. After what they went through with Spielman, they went, we're doing everything by committee. You knew Kwesi didn't have the control he had when he said in his presser, I'll be making a lot of decisions, but the final decisions will be done by committee.
And I think to me, I love the Wolves. I think they're the best ordinance the Vikings have ever had. It's, as far as treating the organization with respect, the way the Vikings organization deserves to be. See, to Mahomes, it was a money grab. He sold the team more to what he bought it for. So I don't think he treated the Vikings the way they should have been treated. He wanted Venice. He pretty much didn't want to put no money towards the stadium. He wanted the Vikings fans to pay for the stadium. So at least the Wolves put money towards the stadium. So as far as running the organization and making it a first class organization, the Wolves have far and away been the best owners for the Vikings.
Right.
I think the Viking. I think they overreact to mistakes. Like they gave Brad Childress full control, and that backfired. Then they're like, okay, so then we're gonna hire a new GM coach. We're not gonna give the coach full power. We're gonna give full power to the GM. Okay, well, we saw how that works. Okay, so now we see giving the full coach full power, giving the GM full power. That didn't work. So now let's try it a different way. Well, now you guys are a Viking. You guys are a Viking longboat without any oars or rudder because you can't go in any direction. You're just spinning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like
you
you're,
need someone to say, no, guys, no, this is what we have to do. I'm sorry, Wolves. I'm sorry, you guys. You want to be competitive. You want to go six. You want 8, 9, 10 wins a year. Well, we're not going to get a franchise quarterback 8, 9 wins a year unless you say it's okay for our GM to give up our next 3 first round picks and a second round pick to move from 18 to 1 because that's what's going to take. But you don't want to do that either. So,
but here's the thing too. I think the whole franchise quarterback term is kind of thrown around loosely, and many people think, well, you have to draft your franchise quarterback.
well, you don't have to.
You don't have to. Here's the thing: if you put together a game plan for you build a team around that game plan, including a quarterback, you're going to have success. You just are. I mean, everybody says that Fran Tarkenton was the Vikings franchise quarterback. No, he wasn't. Fran Tarkenton was basically Fran Tarkenton. He wasn't basically Fran Tarkenton in his day was Kirk Cousins. I mean, the man had been in the league 12 years and never made the playoffs. He was never above 500. He wasn't a franchise quarterback. When he came to Minnesota, when he came back in 72, the Vikings were 7-7.
He said not to mess it up.
And he did not have the best year. He didn't. But what changed everything, and this was a different era also, what made the Vikings that team, that offense that people were scared of was not Fran Tarkenton. You knew what you were going to get with Fran Tarkenton. It was Chuck Foreman. That was the change. But Fran, give credit to Fran, was very smart, very intelligent. And what happened was Burns and Grant put a game plan that worked best for what Fran could do. And Fran was smart enough to think on the fly. He could read defenses. So Fran could do make those little adjustments, those little passes that kept drives alive, that worked to help that team win. And having Chuck Foreman help too. But in the grand scheme of things, it all depends on your quarterback. It doesn't not your quarterback. It all depends on your scheme. It all depends on how you coach them. If these offensive coordinators and coaches put together a scheme, it can work for any quarterback, like a Brock Purdy. You know, it's. I think so many people put stock in. We got to get that top quarterback.
That goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You know what Kirk Cousins is, but you've done nothing to make his weaknesses.
Yeah, you didn't do nothing to cover up his weaknesses. You didn't do nothing. You didn't do nothing to help his. You didn't put in a game plan that limited his bad things and put more emphasis on what he does well.
Right. I mean, the perfect example of that is the Chiefs. Yeah. What happened to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl when they lost to the Rams? Their offensive line got their ass kicked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they upgraded that offensive line.
And so in the offseason, what did they do? They focused on the offensive line. And now the Chiefs have been back 2 straight years.
Culpepper was but Culpepper also had help. He had Carter and Moss.
If Culpepper did not get hurt, he probably would have been, if not but he probably would have top 2. He would have he would have been better than Kramer. If he never got hurt.
Think about how he played the year before he got hurt. The only quarterback better than him was Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he had Randy Moss. He had weapons. He even had an offensive line. And the Vikings did run the ball. They were running back by committee, but they could run the ball. Defense was another story.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, what's up, Yogi?
What up? What is up?
We had a high of 22 watchers today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been working on flooring all weekend.
Yeah, I saw that. The floor looks awesome.
Oh, my gosh. I'm so sore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, 49ers are proof that you don't need a franchise QB. Yeah. It's a luxury to have a franchise QB.
Yeah. No, Viking Gaming, I agree with you, man. I loved Culpepper. I loved
I liked him.
You
I
know,
liked him.
I was devastated when he got hurt, man, because I knew back then a knee injury is not what it is now.
No.
So when he got hurt, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, that spelled the end. That was just a bad year anyway.
Yeah. That was the
okay.
That was they went was it 5 in the
No,
that
they
year?
ended up being 9-7, but they started out like 2 and something.
Oh yeah, that's when they do the most Viking thing ever. They go on a winning streak.
Yeah, that was with Brad Johnson. That was the year of the sex boat scandal.
Oh yeah, that's when Brad Johnson came back after.
Yeah,
that
was the year of the sex boat scandal.
Who never started a game in college, by the way.
No, he didn't. No.
So that proves that college doesn't really matter to some people.
Well, Denny drafted him as a 9th or 10th round draft pick, not intending on him making a team.
Yeah.
But he stuck around as a backup because Denny's first year was Rich Gannon and Sean Salisbury.
So, by the way, I still pissed off that the Vikings got rid of Gannon and not Salisbury.
It was going to happen because Gannon didn't get along with Denny Green. And Gannon didn't get along. And here's the thing: when we let Gannon go, he wasn't.
I know he wasn't the quarterback. He wasn't the Chiefs, but he was. I am sorry, a blind man can see that he had more talent than Salisbury.
Oh, anybody have? Well, I think Salisbury did a lot in Canada. That's why we signed him.
Well, they play 3 downs. That doesn't really count.
Hey,
unless your name's Warren Moon. Unless your name's
Warren Moon. Warren Moon was a.
Hey, we all.
Yeah.
I don't want to put it out there, but we all know why Warren Moon was not in the NFL
sooner.
And it's because it's the color that I am. It's because he's not the color that I am. That's all I'm saying.
It was those old school owners.
Yeah.
Most of your, because I think Sandy Stevens played at the U. He even said it. Back in the day, he was a quarterback, but when he got to the NFL, they moved him to safety. He was a quarterback. But most of your, I think the first one was James Harris, and he played with the Rams, and he was actually good. But then the Rams, when it came to quarterbacks, were just a joke. So, yeah, that's why. Yeah, Gil, the Niners do have leadership. They have leadership. That's the thing. The Niners are led by John Lynch, who is a football guy. They got Shanahan. They've got leaders in and out in the locker room. And it's just they know what they're doing. They have a direction. The Vikings are winging it. Let's just be honest. They're winging it. I don't know. I like Sanders. I ain't gonna lie. I like him. I like Sanders. I like him. I like the quarterback from Texas.
Quinn?
Yes, I like Quinn. I haven't seen Bo Nix play yet, so I saw May play yesterday, of course. I mean,
yep. Quinn Ewers,
yep,
is the one I like.
Yep.
Bo Nix.
I have to see Bo Nix play.
Some Jordan Travis.
Yeah, I got it. Now, here's my whole thing was, if I'm an NFL scout, I'm kind of staying away from North Dakota State for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Because the last 2 out of there they've had injury problems. Wentz and Trey Lance.
What up, Sarah?
Yeah, May is okay. He has his moments. Grigson, what does Grigson do? Grigson's in the Viking front office?
Supposedly he's an advisor.
To who?
Crazy.
Oh, for God's sakes.
But Gregson couldn't fix the Colts offensive line either. That's why he's no longer a Colts GM.
For God's sake. Oh, my God.
He quote unquote is the only football guy in the office, but he's not a very good one.
He's a terrible one. Oh, for God's sakes. That explains it. Jeez.
Oh yeah.
Which quarterback? Hard to say.
Well,
With-
for me, I'm a
It's
little biased. But I prefer Spencer Rattler because he knows what it's like to play behind a bad offensive line, and he's still playing well.
he's senior vice president of player personnel. Oh God. Can we just blow up the front office too? God. Jeez. I don't see whichever. I don't know which quarterback because of KLC. I don't see it, but do you guys see what type of offense we're trying to run? Or
It's going to be whatever quarterback's at pick 30 or 31. Because we're trading back. Just
that's
mentally,
yeah.
just
I was
mentally
going to
prepare.
say,
I was going to say, what you got us in the Super Bowl, dude? What's going on?
Just mentally prepare. We're going to trade back.
Yeah.
Yup.
Oh my God, Skull for Life, was that real? Are you serious?
see, here's what I don't understand. Look what he did to the Colts. That's what I said when they hired him. I'm like, why are they hiring this guy? This guy destroyed the Colts.
Yep.
The GM of the Colts now had to fix so much of his crap. And now they're a halfway decent team, but they're still, they're still bad. But
Or Richardson might be okay. Richardson might work.
Well, I think AR-15 is going to be
Yeah,
good.
he
But they got
right
good
now
coach-
he looks like he's going to work. But they played Houston today, so
I think. Well, you know what though? When he gets better, the Colts, the Jets may want Minshew because Minshew is not going to screw up the Jets like Zach Wilson will. You can win with Minshew.
Okay, first of all, is Minshew actually that good?
He's better than Zach Wilson.
Yeah, true. Well, Zach's got one thing on his mind, and it's probably somebody's
That's your mom.
Somebody's mom.
I told my wife, I'm like, oh, so who's she? She's like, so Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Like, who's their quarterback? I go, Zach Wilson. She's like, oh, what's he do? I said, go after other players' moms instead of their sister. He goes after their moms. She's like, well, let me look at him. She goes, I showed her a picture. She goes, I would break him in half.
Yeah, he'll have his own video
Reality
series
show.
when he retires.
Yeah.
MILF hunting made easy. But yeah, it's with the Vikings. It's just team has no direction.
Oh, Sarah, that's a great point. Yeah, you're right. So far,
Yeah, that's true.
Jalen Hurts does not look anything like he did last year.
Nope, not at all.
I think Yogi and I are both trying to put the comment up.
Yeah. And
I'll give you control, Yogi.
and the defense coordinator that took the Cardinals job today let the Giants come back on him. So
Well, here's another thing. Allen, quarterback for the Bills, he doesn't look the same without DeVol. So coaching matters.
Yeah.
You know
have the
who's-
right coaching.
did you see who's quarterbacking the Cardinals?
Yeah. I told my wife, I said, that dude, that quarterback for the Cardinals, I said, that dude's smarter than any of us in the NFL.
Yeah.
People like him and Fitzpatrick, they're not the typical, the old cliche is these really smart guys. Well, how much do they really love football? Well, if you actually make less money playing football than you would in your professional career, that means you like football.
Mm-hmm.
Fitzpatrick loved football. He was smarter than anybody else in the room. Same thing with Joshua Dobbs.
Who was the wide receiver that said they would go to war with Fitzpatrick? I think it might have been Brandon Marshall. He said he would go.
It was a big time receiver. I know.
Yeah, he said he would go to war with Fitzpatrick. They asked him, "What about Jay Cutler?" He's like, "Hell no."
Well, we saw what Jay Cutler was like in his reality series.
Yeah. He broke up.
I think, speaking of that, his wife, goddamn, you talk about it. Oof. That dude, you're living off of his money, and you're going to tell him that he needs to do something when he retires after busted. I just want to live on my farm. I want to take care of my animals. I made my money. She's like, well, you need to do broadcasting. He tried. He did a tryout for broadcasting. He didn't like it.
No, it's not him.
No,
It's not
but
him.
he's smart too. That dude went to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, he conned the Bears. How much money he conned the Bears out of? Come on.
Yeah.
You know, you had to be pretty bad if Elway traded you.
Well, for as great as Elway was as a player, he sucks at quarterback evaluations.
Yeah.
And Brock Osweiler.
Yeah.
The guy from Memphis, Paxton Lynch.
Oh God, Paxton Lynch. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right.
So as much as he was a great, see, that's the thing. Just because you're a great player, don't make you a great GM. Don't make you a great coach. That's what made Bart Starr was not a good head coach.
No.
You
But
know?
remember, the Packers for years they kept getting old Lombardi guys. They went from
they're divorced
to
they're
Forrest
divorced
Gray.
now.
Yeah, it's
they're
just
divorced now because Jay said I'm enough. Yeah, Jay Cutler said I've had enough of you. So,
which okay, didn't they say he sent her an engagement ring FedEx? Is that him?
Well, I think I'm not sure, but she's one of those you must constantly be doing things like that. Like I think her net worth is like her net worth was like 1.8 million because she's like a reality star. But Jay Cutler is worth way more than that.
Cutler did more and
right.
Work.
So she's like, I don't want you sitting at home. I want you going to do this. I want you. He's like, I just want to stay home, take care of my animals on my farm, take care of my kids, take it, And she didn't want that. That wasn't. He's like, fine. That I don't need you.
Okay, so who the hell is she to say anything? She's just a reality TV hoe.
Yeah. I don't know. She wanted more out of him. I said, I'm sorry, but my wife is like that too. She wants the best out of me, But even she's like, babe, if you busted your ass for that many years to get your body beat up, make that much money, you want to live on a farm, you want to take care of a farm, there should be no issue with her wanting that. Because his ex-wife is always, the next big thing, this must be motivating. You must always do this. You must always do that. She's one of those. And he's just like, nope, I just want to. By the way, taking care of a farm is not easy. That's hard work. Mm-mm. But he's like, yeah, I just want to live on my farm, take care of my kids, take my kids to school.
And plus, he's had a few injuries too. So the injuries are probably catching up to him.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. With Danielle Hunter most likely being gone next year, and Marcus Davenport not coming back most likely.
Hopefully.
Do you think Kwesi will go after Chase Young?
I would have went after him this year.
But it's Chase Young 3-4 or 4-3 in. See, that's the thing. DJ Wanham would be a hell of a lot better than what he is with the fact that he plays in a 3-4. He's out of position. I'm not saying DJ Wanham's on the same level as Danielle Hunter, but he wouldn't be a non-factor like he is most of the time.
Yeah, they got one of them in pass coverage.
What up, Justin?
What up, Justin?
Oh, what's up, Justin?
Yeah, we're still going, man. Tony and I.
We're still here.
Come on. Our first phone call Tony and I had to talk about our show was 3.5 hours long.
Yeah. Oh, his fifth year didn't get exercised.
Yeah, they didn't exercise Chase Young's fifth year.
Well, he's coming off that knee injury.
Yeah.
So,
but if he keeps playing like he was playing today, they're going to re-sign him.
Yeah,
they'll franchise him.
I would look at him, but like Yogi has said, and I have said, they need to go back to a 4-3.
Yeah.
Minnesota has always ran a 4-3 defense.
Yeah. The only time we ran a 3-4 was Bud's later years, but your defensive ends were actually defensive ends.
Yeah.
And your nose tackle was actually a nose tackle.
Yeah.
They don't
have the personnel. This defense would be so much better if it was a 4-3 because that's what we had the personnel for.
Mm-hmm. They could play, like you said, they could play a 4-2-5.
Yeah,
which roll into a 4-3, but they just don't have. It's like, I don't understand. First of all, I don't understand how KOC could come in here as a head coach and realize that he didn't look at his roster and realize I don't have the personnel for a 3-4.
Or was it that they just wanted to go so far away from what Zimmer was doing?
Yeah, but then that starts to get petty.
Yeah.
Right.
that starts to get really petty. So
I mean, I would love to have someone like him on this team, but once again, they're going to have $53.8 million in dead cap space.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to sign a lot of players for that, which is fine. We'll take a couple of bad years as Viking fans to get out of cap hell and to get a quarterback, whether through free agency or through the draft. That's fine. You know, I love the Vikings and I love winning. But I'm starting to come around to the point to where I don't want to go 10-7. The Vikings are either 7-10 or 10-7. I did a history check of the Vikings records. They've only had less than 5 wins 4 times.
Yep.
One of those was their first year.
Yeah, they were 3-11.
They went 3-12. And
they were 3-11.
Yeah.
And then the next year they were 2-11-1, and then in 63 they were 5-8-1.
Yeah.
And in 64 they were 8-5-1.
Right. And they were not 3. They did not lose less than 3 games a year again until 83.
Yeah.
With Les Steckel.
Yeah, Bud's first year was a 3-win season, and then Les Steckel was 3.
But they had 2 ties. Didn't they have like a couple ties though?
They had 3 ties.
Yeah. So they don't consider they don't consider that season with Bud as a 3-loss because they had the 2 ties.
What up, Zoe?
Yeah,
so,
3-win. It was a 3-win.
Yeah. So they don't technically count that. And then the last time when they were 3-13 just recently.
Well, here's the thing, but in that era of football, they didn't have overtime. They didn't get overtime until 74.
Right. So you were going to end in a tie, but
you were going to
that's why they're saying they don't count that as a 3-win team because, you know.
What up?
That's not true, Viking Gaming. They had the number 1 pick in 1968 and it was Ron Yeary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't even have the first pick their first year.
No. They only had the first pick once, and that was Ron Yeary.
And hey, at least it was a good pick.
Yeah, you couldn't go wrong. And I always bring it up with Ron Yeary. He drafted for 2. He blocked for 2 great running backs. He blocked for O.J. Simpson in college, and he blocked for Chuck Foreman in the NFL. So
Chuck Foreman does not get enough love.
You know, so like we said earlier, we're 0-2, but because we're in this division, we are still in it because this division is just garbage.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm trying to take control again. Sorry, Yogi.
Oh, no, you're fine. I'm petting my dog.
I was going to put Justin's comment up because I think this is very true, though.
That's very true. Very true. Very true.
I don't think
very true. What was from a trade, Sarah? Did we miss a comment earlier by her?
Well, she's saying that was from a trade, though. What was from a trade, though, Sarah? I think that's what we're trying to figure it out. If you can re-comment, let us know.
Oh, does she mean the Yeary pick?
The 68 number 1 pick, was that from a trade?
No, 68 was because we were bad.
Yeah, we were bad in 67.
Yeah, we were bad in 67. That's why we got the number 1 pick in 68.
Yeah, that was one of the 3-win teams.
Yeah, we were that bad.
That was probably the worst. That was probably the worst year in Vikings history because they weren't even that bad their inaugural season.
Up until then, yeah.
Yeah.
But Bud had the nucleus of players that he was going to have. Oh, that's cool, gaming. Yeah, Chuck is pretty cool. My sister knew him years ago. Yeah. So, but yeah. So, I mean, like I said before, I'll stick to this. If they don't win next week, if the Vikings don't win next week, there's going to be some static, and it's going to be within the team.
Well, they'll be the best they could be if they lose Sunday. It'd be 2-5.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of history here. You might not want to stick around. This is it's not your thing. So we've been up to date. We've been all over the place with what we talked.
Yeah, we talked about the divisions earlier. For those who are just now joining us, we talked about the division where it stands right now. I started off. The Bears are who we thought they were. I don't know why some of these fools were picking the Bears to win the division. As long as Justin Fields is their quarterback, they're going to be they're trash. Their defense is trash. They're 2 years away from being 2 years away. The Lions are who they. The Lions are the Lions. The Lions turned into the Lions. In the Packers, Jordan Love hasn't played anybody good, and when they needed Jordan Love to be that Rodgers, to be that Favre, he failed miserably.
Oh,
so,
wait, did we draft? Clint Jones wasn't. No, not in 67 from the targeted trade. I don't think that was a. I'd have to look, but that wasn't a number one. That wasn't the number one overall draft.
Yeah, it wasn't. It might have been our first pick in that draft, but it wasn't.
Yeah, we had 3 firsts. We had 3 firsts that year. Clint Jones, Gene Washington, and Alan Page. But I think 68, we were literally that bad to be we were the first overall draft pick. So, but yeah, it's the Bears, more like wait till next year with them. The Lions will do Lion things. And the Packers, they're another one. They're hot and cold. We don't know what we're going to get with Green Bay. So the division's wide open. Bengals are 0-2. I think Joe Burrow has not recovered from whatever his injury was. I don't remember what it was, but I don't think he's 100% from that. We should beat the Chargers. We should. But we'll see what happens. We should beat Tampa Bay too. Yeah, good one, Sarah. 9-8 wins the division. That easy. 9-8.
According to Wiki, it says we've had to pick twice, 61 and 68. But I don't remember us making the first pick our expansion year.
Well, that's probably what we probably did.
Because Tommy Mason was the first ever draft pick by the Vikings, and he was not number 1 overall. Who
was number 1 overall?
Let me see. Let me go back. Let me look at numbers.
Because don't forget, both the AFL and NFL has separate drafts.
Right. Oh, by the way, we'll get into that Tuesday night. A lot of people don't know this about the Vikings and the AFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zoe, you should really listen to that podcast because that'll be a lot of history. You'll like it. Trust me, you'll like it. And Miami just scored.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so Tommy Payne. Okay, I was thinking Norm Snead was the first pick.
Oh, the Eagles.
Yeah, Norm Snead was actually second.
Okay, so Tommy
Mason was the first pick. So
okay,
so Ron Yeri and Tommy Mason are the first two.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the only two.
Those are the only two.
Those are the only two.
Yep, those are the only two.
For some reason in my mind, I was thinking Norm Snead was the first pick that year, but he wasn't. He was second.
Yep. He eventually became a Viking.
Yep.
Yeah, Miami's offense is different with that geek running the offense.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We were talking about that earlier. Is with Rodgers being hurt, there's no way in hell Wilson's going to lead them to the playoffs.
Right.
And if Tua doesn't get hurt, Miami's probably the second best team in the AFC.
And Tua is so injury prone, you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's with, and Schlottman, I'm sure will start again, which
I don't know if that's such a drop off.
Yeah, Schlottman's not much of a drop off. Darisaw is the real.
The drop off is the tackle.
Yeah,
it's the 2 tackles, and if we lose any of our tackles, that's a huge drop off.
Yeah. So far so good. Knock on wood that Brian O'Neill's looked pretty good from his Achilles.
Yeah, and Ezra, like we were talking earlier, Ezra Cleveland has looked good. I think three of the offensive line positions are good. O'Neal looked a little bad this year, but that's because he's had to cover for.
He's had to cover for Ingram.
Yeah.
So now here's the thing: 3 games in, this offensive line will have 3 games in. Hopefully they can kind of gel together. But it also all depends. KOC's got to run the ball.
Yeah.
If you're gonna use that 12-man form, if you're gonna use that 12 formation as you call it, run it. Don't abandon it. You know, if Madison's getting positive yards, keep feeding him the ball. Even if he's not, keep feeding him the ball. Let that offensive line get confidence.
We had Adrian Peterson was the 7th pick.
So 7th pick. We weren't that bad.
We were bad, but not bad enough.
We were 6-10.
Yeah.
We were 6-10. And Adrian fell to us.
Oh, and if Adrian Peterson never had a collarbone injury in college, he would have never made it to us.
Yep. Yeah, he fell to us. But yeah, if we start controlling the line of scrimmage on offense, that's going to go a long way towards a win on Sunday.
Yeah. I think they win Sunday because I think it's going to be a shootout. I think our offense is better than the Chargers' offense, and I think our defense is a little bit better than their defense. So, and like I said, the home field doesn't really matter because even if they're playing in LA, it would still be a home field advantage for Minnesota. So
yeah, it'll be it's
because Herbert is kind of a bigger version of Cousins. If you get in his face and you bother him, he'll crumble.
Oh yeah, definitely. But my whole thing is the problem isn't the Chargers.
Well, it's KOC. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the problem is
they're their worst enemy, their own worst enemy.
Yes, it's what Viking team is going to show up. Is this a Viking team that's soft? Is this the Viking team that is missing for 2 quarters and then turn it up when it gets clutch time? I mean, which Viking team is going to show? Which team is KOC going to put on the field? Let's just be honest. Well, what team is he going to put on the field?
If they don't turn the ball over, they should win.
You know what? I even think they win if they turn the ball over.
Yeah,
because you're probably with the Chargers, you're probably going to break even.
We drafted a quarterback number 7 overall. Didn't work out. His name was Christian Ponder.
Was Ponder 7th?
I thought he was 7th.
I thought Ponder was 11th.
Oh no! Wait.
But Gil, the 24 quarterback draft class is real deep.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of quarterbacks.
They're 57, 83. Was it 2005? I think it was the Peyton draft. And this year is what they're saying are the best draft classes ever for quarterbacks.
So we could actually trade down and still find a quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Easton was taken before. Easton and O'Brien were taken before Marino.
Oh my gosh, Sarah! You left 197 points on your bench for fantasy.
Damn. Oh, speaking of
which team? The 8 team or the 16 team league?
Yeah, Ponder was 12.
She's in the 8-team league with me. I'm playing her this week.
What's the 7? That means what's his name? Was Locker taking 7th?
Locker, I think, was taking 11th. He was taken ahead of Ponder by 1, I believe.
So what am I thinking 7th then? God, not in the league that we're in, Yogi? No.
Yeah, I'm winning 175 to 151. You like that, Sarah? Sarah, you like that?
Oh, God. Oh.
Oh, okay, Sarah.
So, yeah, it's Sunday depends on KOC, bottom line. And that's pretty bad when I agree, Gil, no more trading down. That's pretty bad when we're talking about the coach and not the players. You know, I think, could this team be more successful with another coach that's maybe a little harder edge? Probably. I know for sure they wouldn't be playing no damn 3-4 defense. But it's all on KLC. That's as far as I'm concerned. It's all on.
Yeah, Yogi, I got the most points.
Who are you up against?
I am against H-Town Vikings.
Okay. I didn't even see my score.
No, nobody would beat me this week. I have 185.96 points.
Hey, Yogi, are you able to see what my team is doing? What the score is?
Yep.
Okay.
You're losing right now to Minnesota Berserkers 151.04 to 147.26. Yeah, you pretty much lost unless he loses points.
Oh, he's got the Patriot defense, doesn't he?
I hope.
Yeah.
I just hope that Saquon Barkley isn't hurt for a long time because I'm screwed if he is.
I'm sorry, Gil, but with how deep the quarterback class is,
You're not going to
telling
need to.
you,
You're not going to need to.
You're not going to need to trade up.
There was legitimately probably 8 quarterbacks that can go in the first round.
And that's nothing. And trading up is not in the Viking front office vocabulary.
And not all teams in front of you are going to need a quarterback.
Yep.
Exactly. That's why I have a feeling we're going to trade back. And until Justin Jefferson gets signed, he might be in the market. Until he gets extended, I'm mentally prepared for him to be traded. Because if you look at if they were to trade back, pick up another second round pick, they'd be able to pick up a quarterback in the first round, a guard in the second, Cooper Beebe, and Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver from LSU. And it'd be all gravy, in my opinion. I think Kwesi will do something like that. Y'all,
that's his thing. That's his modus operandi.
Yep. Y'all
heard
it here first. Something like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So Gil has a 2-part question here. He has, do we prefer an offensive-minded coach or a defensive-minded coach? I just want a coach that's going to kick the players in the ass when they need to kick in the ass.
Usually those are defensive players, coaches.
Yes.
Those are defensive coaches. Offensive coaches, we get the Geek Club that's running the NFL right now at the moment.
There was an exception to that rule. His name was Bernsey.
Yeah, well, if Bernsey, okay, here's the thing with Bernsey. He was a head coach at Iowa.
Yeah.
Paul Krause was the starting quarterback. But when he was with the Packers in Lombardi, he was the defensive backs coach. When he came to the Vikings, he became the offensive coordinator, but he was a defensive backs coach with the Packers. So, and he also drank too much. So,
well, I'm not going to disagree with you, Gil. He does have a history of being fleeced in picks. Although he did win the Packer trade, though. He may have got fleeced.
Kwesi? I don't know if he won that Packer trade or not.
Hey, Justin. Hey, you might say stop the cap, but I knew the first round pick was either going to be Brian Branch or Edison. I had the Vikings picking Jacqueline Roy and Jay Ward, but I just had the rounds flip. And I had the Vikings picking Ivan Pace in the 4th round, but they got him as a UDFA. So I think I have the mindset to think like Kwesi. So don't don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong. I think like Kwesi, not like a fan. So that's why I get so close on the picks.
Well, Kwesi's also got people in his ear.
Yeah. I wanted DTR over Jaron Hall. They could have taken DTR over Jaron Hall, but I'm not going to hate Jaron Hall. But you know, I definitely wanted DTR. But
we actually did better in the UDFA signings than in the draft. Just with Pace. Carter, he's a project. He's got the size and everything, but he's military. So, you know, they say he's got to bulk up and all that, but he's military strong, but not football strong.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're right, Sarah. Until Williamson can prove that he can stay. I didn't want Williamson, so I was kind of glad that the Lions took him because he was injury prone.
Jamison Williams?
Yeah. He's also proven to be injury in NFL. Yeah. Usually guys, I can see why GMs don't take injury prone guys because look at Booth.
We drafted a whole bunch of them.
Injury prone in college.
We
If you're going to
drafted
college.
all our
In the
draft
pros.
choices are injury prone.
Very rarely is there someone like Adrian Peterson who has a injury history in college who doesn't have one in the pros. So,
It's like and Jameson Williams was Quezzy's guy. Quezzy said he wanted to draft him, but once again they got in his ear, and he traded down.
Which is good.
yeah, Watson was solid. Watson was solid.
But he traded down,
Watson
and
be with love.
But he traded down and drafted Lewis Seen.
I wanted Kyle Hamilton.
No, the Vikings, under no circumstances can the Vikings ever trade JJ.
Why?
What's the reason for trading JJ?
He becomes.
You're not going to get you're not going to get value for him.
He plays a position that's a dime a dozen.
The receivers are a dime a dozen, but there's only so many JJs and there's only so many Mosses out there. The Vikings never recovered from trading Moss.
You're gonna take a drop off, but guess what? If you still get the same production, he may not be the highlight reel, but
I don't see why they would trade JJ. There's no you're not going to get value for him. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying, I could be wrong. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I don't think there's any way you can trade JJ unless he becomes such a malcontent with a contract, which I don't think that's in JJ's nature.
What was the Tyreek Hill trade?
Tyreek Hill wanted money the Chiefs didn't want to pay him.
Wanted money the Chiefs didn't want to pay him
because they had to pay him.
What did they get traded? What
was it like? Not what he's worth.
They got a first rounder out of it, didn't they?
Let's look that up.
Yeah.
You looking it up?
I can look it up, yeah.
Okay. I think Hill scored tonight, too.
Hill always scores.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the sideline right now, though. Oh, it's a 7-point game. Miami leads 24-17. 5:25 left in the game. So,
but yeah.
They got they got a first round pick, a second round pick, and a sixth round, and a 2 fourths and a sixth. But they weren't in the same draft. They were different drafts.
Spread out over a couple of years.
Yeah. So
first,
I don't think that's enough for JJ. The first was the number 29 pick. And the second round pick was a 50th pick. And then it was the fourth round pick and the sixth round pick. Yeah. So the first 3 picks were the 22 draft, and the 2 6th round picks for 2023. I don't think that's enough for JJ with the way the Vikings are right now. I don't think that's enough to build what you need to build.
You need to build the trenches.
Yeah.
You need to build the trenches.
I'm saying this is just my opinion. You guys can disagree. Right. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I don't think that's enough for JJ. I mean, JJ. Right now, if you look at the commercials for the NFL, I mean, this probably doesn't have anything to do with it, but it's Patrick Mahomes and Justin Jefferson. They're the ones doing.
Those are the faces they're using.
Yes. Yeah.
And unfortunately, we've got a front office that is all in on that, which could explain why what's his name might be resigned. I don't want to say that, but it's a possibility.
That's. Like I said, that's just my opinion. You guys can disagree. You can agree, whatever.
I mean, okay. So, I'm kind of. Waddle's hurt. He's hurt bad. You keep him, but then you're going to have to find a way to build the best offensive and defensive lines possible on a shoestring budget.
I think we'll have about $55 million in cap in 20.
But if you're not paying for a quarterback as well, then that'll help. What's the best? What's the best? The best thing for a rookie quarterback is 2 things: a good offensive line and a veteran receiver.
Yeah.
And if that veteran receiver is the best receiver in the NFL, I mean,
So put it this way, it would help him even more if he can run the ball.
Yeah. The running game helps the rookie quarterback too.
Yep.
So
rookie quarterback, first round.
At this point, I'm willing to take a shot on any of them. I don't think the Vikings are going to have it because Kirk Cousins is their quarterback. Unless he gets hurt, they're not going to be bad enough to be in the top. So I don't think they have a chance to get Kalen Williams or May, or I think Phoenix is going to be gone, or Penix is going to be gone too.
Yeah, the word tank is not in this team's
right. So those are the best three quarterbacks of an awesome quarterback draft. And some people say that Drake May is better than Caleb Williams. It's it's GMs. They're weird. But
I hope someone does pick Drake May because I don't want him.
Right. But that leaves all these other quarterbacks.
He could end up a Viking just because of that.
Yeah,
I know.
And that leaves all these other quarterbacks that are in the draft. I mean, they're all about the same, but they're all really good. Those just happen to be the best three.
And here's the thing: they need to do, if they're going to pick a quarterback, they need to really do their homework.
Yeah.
Don't just spur the moment, knee jerk.
Ponder.
Thank you. Just take your time, do your homework, do what you need to do, and pick the guy. First of all, they'll have an offense in place that works for the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that Ponder thing, they wanted Locker.
I would have took Locker, but you know what though? That whole class was not.
That whole class sucked.
Yeah, that whole class was never good. I actually wanted Locker.
Yeah, but he went to Tennessee,
and then he retired
because he got concussions. He was smart.
Yeah, he retired.
No, this QB draft, but Caleb Williams said if Arizona picks him, he ain't going.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah, his dad. He didn't say it. His dad did. His dad says, "Yeah, Caleb's coming out, but depends on who gets the first pick." He's like he ain't going to Arizona.
Oh, Dad's screwing with his money now.
Well, that probably came from him though.
It could have.
Pulling a Manning.
Yeah, he's pulling a Manning.
Yeah, he's pulling a Manning.
Who's his dad? Is his dad somebody?
It's just his dad. His dad is like his dad is like his dad is just like his PA guy.
Yeah, Dad getting a mansion.
He's like, I'm not gonna. Caleb Williams is like, Dad, I can't say this because I don't want people to hate me, but you can go ahead and say it. That's what that is right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
You're in the spotlight, Dad. Go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead. You take this. I make $3 million. I make $4 million a year as a college quarterback. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes a lot of money as a college quarterback.
And the crazy thing is, the Cardinals might have the second pick too.
Oh God.
So here, okay, the Cardinals need a quarterback. Here we go. We trade Cousins to the Cardinals for first and second for their first two picks.
You know what? A good GM would fleece him.
Yes.
Quasi's not. Spielman would probably do something and fleece him if he really wanted to. But you can't. I mean, Quasi can't do that. Quasi doesn't know how to do that. Yeah, Chicago needs a quarterback too.
Speaking of which, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, they're going to need a quarterback.
Fields is not the answer at quarterback.
What did I tell him?
Did you see him today, Yogi? Did you see that pick six that Fields threw today on the screen pass?
I was working on them damn floors. I got to watch
one
game tonight.
He threw a pick six in the red zone, in their own red zone for a screen pass.
Oh,
and it was a defensive tackle who intercepted it, ran it in.
Oh gosh.
It was. Oh God, it was ugly, and they wore those ugly ass orange uniforms too today, so they deserve to lose just for wearing those.
Yeah, they're going to need a quarterback. Who knows?
They did draft a quarterback, Gil. Come on, man. Jaron Hall. Come on. No, I'm kidding. But they did draft a quarterback last year. I mean, Jaron Hall we don't know Jaron Hall. We don't know.
Hey, the Patriots could tie up this game.
Yeah, they could. Sanders just missed a field goal. And the reason they tried the field goal was because Tua fumbled the snap on third and one.
Sanders missed a field goal? He's almost as reliable as Tucker. Wow. Although Greg Joseph's 100% this year, baby, 1,000%.
Yeah, and we ain't had a game come down to the wire yet.
Yeah, the Raiders need a quarterback. Garoppolo looked awful today.
Yep.
There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. There's so many teams.
Falcons.
Yeah, there's so many teams that need quarterbacks that they're not
See,
going
if
to
the
sign Kirk
Falcons make the
Cousins.
playoff, if the Falcons win the division, will they get rid of Ritter though?
They need a quarterback.
Because that with that run game and that defense, they can win that division.
Yeah, but if Ritter's not putting up the numbers and if he's more of a liability as time goes on, yeah, they'll move on from him. They'll move on.
All right, so the only team in the AFC East that needs a quarterback would be the Patriots, because Mac Jones is not a good quarterback.
Yeah,
because Rodgers signed for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to replace Rodgers, especially if he comes back from his injury.
Wait a minute. What year will Tua be in?
Tua.
I think this is this year 4 for Tua?
Miami Dolphins.
I think this might be Tua's 3rd year.
Okay, so he's coming up on, and they'll probably 5th-year option him too, depending on how well they do.
2024 will be his 5th.
Okay, so this is
yeah.
So they got to pick up his option at the end of the year. They'll probably do that.
They'll do that.
The Dolphins will pick up his.
Yeah,
will pick up his option. So the AFC South, every one of those teams.
Well, the Jets might grab a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to pick him in. We're talking mostly first-round quarterbacks. They won't take a quarterback in the first round with Rodgers. They'll probably wait in the second.
Oh no, but
yeah,
they'll still get a good one in the second.
Yeah.
We're
talking if the Vikings take a quarterback in the first round, what teams could possibly take a quarterback? Or will a team do what the Chiefs did, even though they don't need one? They see the talent there and take one.
If they're smart, they'll see the talent there and take one.
Yeah, because the Chiefs didn't need a quarterback because they had Alex Smith.
Yeah,
but they took Mahomes anyway.
So
the AFC South, I think the
Tennessee,
the Colts won't take a quarterback, and the Texans won't take a quarterback because they just took them last year.
Yeah, and
Tennessee will definitely take a quarterback because Malik is not the answer. Neither is Tannehill.
Neither is Levis.
Yeah, Levis is not either. Okay, so that's what other teams in the South? Jacksonville, they got Lawrence. They're not taking a quarterback.
No.
And so then in the West, the Raiders could use a new quarterback. The Chiefs,
Denver.
The Chiefs definitely are not taking a quarterback. Denver could use a quarterback, and the Chargers are not going to take a quarterback. So that's 5 teams that need a quarterback in the AFC? Damn, the AFC. They got some quarterbacks, don't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's 5 teams in the AFC that need a quarterback. It's in the NFC. Cowboys are not taking a quarterback. Eagles are not taking a quarterback. The Redskins Commanders are starting.
Commanders might.
And the Giants just signed Jones. They're not taking a quarterback. Which, thank God. We can thank the Vikings for them signing Daniel Jones to a long-term contract.
Buccaneers will need one.
Buccaneers will need one.
Buccaneers will need one. So that's the South. So the Buccaneers will need one.
Maybe LA Rams.
The Saints will need one.
Well, just in the North, the Bears are going to need one. We're going to need one. Hell, Detroit might even need one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So our competition for quarterbacks is going to be from the NFC teams.
Well, but here's another thing too. Depending on how the Packers do, they might move on from Love.
Yep. Yeah, because they didn't pick up his year. They didn't pick up his option.
They didn't pick up his option, so they might move on from him.
And other teams in the NFC, well, even if the 49ers wanted to take a quarterback, they're probably not going to finish in front of us. So the Rams, they got to get a replacement for Stafford.
Yeah.
So PFF right now has the Texans at 1. They don't need a quarterback.
No.
Cardinals at 2. 3.
They're probably going to take a quarterback.
3. The Colts. They won't need one.
Nope.
4. Tennessee. They'll probably get one.
They're definitely going to take a quarterback.
5, the Buccaneers.
They're probably going to take one.
6, the Rams.
They're probably looking at 1, 2.
7, the Raiders.
Definitely looking at 1.
8, the Panthers.
Mm-mm.
No,
They
they're not
won't.
going to take one. No.
9, the Commanders.
We
10,
don't know with them. It all depends how their quarterback
Yeah.
plays.
Commanders are 50-50.
Yeah.
10, the Falcons.
Depends on Ritter. Probably, though.
50-50.
11, the Packers.
50-50.
Then 12, the Patriots.
50-50.
Then us at 13.
So they might have to trade up. We look at, wow.
Yeah, and it's not that they.
There's a lot of good quarterbacks in this draft, but they're not that good.
So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And Yogi, you have that list too for quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
So we can compare what quarterbacks will be taking, like the quarterbacks in the picks.
All right. Let's just go first round, just one round.
So we know the Texans are not going to take a quarterback, so it starts at pick 2.
All right, let's go to the start draft. So quarterbacks, we got Caleb Williams.
And who's that? Okay, who has the second pick right now?
Well,
the Cardinals, right?
Yeah, well, so it's actually the Cardinals pick. So it's the Texans pick, but the Cardinals. So the Cardinals would have the first and second pick. So it shows them picking Caleb Williams at 1.
Caleb Williams says he was not playing for Arizona. So I would say they're going to take Drake as opposed to Caleb Williams.
You guys, Miami just won. They just literally they kind of screwed the Patriots out of a first down.
Oh, all those years of them getting favorable calls.
Yeah, they did.
I'm not going to cry over the Patriots getting screwed over a call. It sucks if they did, but I'm not going to complain over it.
So Drake May.
Wow.
Then we have. So here's the quarterbacks we got. After Caleb Williams and Drake May, here's the list of quarterbacks. Bo Nix.
I don't want anything to do with Bo Nix. Anybody can take him.
Michael Penix. Riley
like.
Leonard. Jaden Daniels. Quinn.
God, they got Jaden Daniels that high?
No. Okay. So they got Bo Nix ranked 26, like overall rank.
Right. No, but these are quarterback rankings, right? Bo Nix is 4th, right? Or 3rd?
3rd.
They have Bo Nix over Penix?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. I think just because he plays for Oregon.
Then Michael Penix, then Riley Leonard, Jaden Daniels, Quinn Ewers, then Michael Pratt from Tulane.
I think Ewers is moving up, though. I think if Ewers keeps playing the way he's playing, he's going to move up that list.
Hey, guys, I'm going to cut this short. I'm going to have to hit the road here. I got to give a family member a call here.
All right.
Okay.
So I got
We're about to bounce. I'm about to bounce.
Yeah.
We'll do it again Tuesday for sure, though.
Yeah, all Tuesday. Right. Are you going to join us, Yogi, or no?
No, I'll be at work.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Tuesday, the vintage.
Yep, the vintage talking Viking history with TB and Catch 5:30 to 6. Well, 5:30. It's supposed to be 5:30 to 6:30, but as you see, keep it to an hour.
We'll try.
We're gonna have to do a hard cap on that. We're gonna have to do a hard cap on that one.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
I'll see you Tuesday.
Yep. See you guys on Tuesday.
Yep.
Skol.
Skol.